Alrighty, test, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8. Is this thing on? Ladies and gentlemen, can you all see me? Most importantly, ladies and gentlemen, can you all hear me? What's going on, people? Test, mic check. How we sounding? How we looking, y'all? Hopefully this stream goes over rather well. For the longest time, I'd been doing all these Ask Neo streams and the news cycles. Basically, anytime I go live, I'd been streaming in 1080p. And then I realized that I pay for fiber optic internet, so why shouldn't I stream in 1440p? Why shouldn't I do it? So yeah, this is going to be the debut stream of Neo in 1440p. I don't think it's really going to make that big of a difference, but hey, if you guys are watching this on your big screen TV, now it won't be as pixelated and janky. But what's going on, people? What's happening? Alrighty, while we wait for a couple people to join us in the chat, let's start at the top with some shout outs. We got the homie Flame first. We got David Big Lad. What's up, my brother? We got Pooh Bear. We got J Fam. Greetings from the Midwest and happy Oppenheimer Day. Yes, that's right. Happy new release day to all the 4K media lovers. We still out there. We still supporting it. I didn't get my copy of Oppenheimer in the mail yet. I ordered it from Walmart because I had been hoping and praying that Best Buy would come through and I can get one of the Oppenheimer Steelbooks. Yes, I forgot to pre-order it. So I showed up at my Best Buy. Literally, I was the first person there at 9 a.m. And unfortunately, yeah, the death of physical media is real over there. Like, bro, I went in there and they've got maybe one shelf rack of Blu-rays and DVDs, period. And that thing be empty as fuck, bro. So the odds of me thinking that I could get Oppenheimer because no one's really going to Best Buy for 4K media, that shit just went straight out the window, bro, because they barely even stocked the original Oppenheimer release. So yeah, that kind of sucks. So I said, you know what, screw it. I'm not going to pay markup prices on eBay for it. So I'll just order it on Walmart. They've got a nice little, it's not a steelbook, but it's a nice packaging for that one. That should be here this weekend. Who else is in here? We've got Julian Phoenix. What's up? We've got Rhino54. You're clap. What's good from Radio City? Oh, appreciate it. My guy over there. I'm keeping this man entertained while he's working. Yes, sir. We got Hibachi in the chat. Wagwan, brethren. How you doing? We got B-Rex Media. Won't be able to tune in live since tonight is Communion at church, but hello to all. Also, I have ascended and finally gotten back into Persona 5 Royal, and I am loving it. Oh, that is awesome, my guy. Hopefully, church goes over swell with you. And yeah, Persona 5 Royal, that greatness, man. Eventually, I'll get back to it and finish the rest of that playthrough. It's like every single time I start a Persona 5 Royal playthrough, it's like I get halfway through and I'm like, fuck, this is a long game. You know, honestly, I was so thankful Persona 5 came out when it did because I literally had no other games to play at the time. So I spent the entirety of, I think, 2 weeks just no life in the hell out of it. Like a beautiful 150 hours. Oh, it was great. But now that there's so much stuff to play, it's just hard for me to dedicate all of that time exclusively to Persona 5 Royal. Like when I played it on the PS4, I got halfway through it. And then when it dropped on the Series X, I got past where I was on the PS4 version, but then there was just so many other games coming out that I was just like, I gotta put it down. I gotta put it down. But yeah, if we ever do have a dry spell, which I don't think we are going to have anytime soon, I'll get back into Royal. It's just there's so many other great games coming out, and I still got to go through Xenoblade Chronicles 3 Future Redeemed. Oh, man, it's crazy. We got Zack Rodriguez in the chat. Ooh, Zack Rodriguez, bright and early. Good to see you, my brother. We've got DIMWITMONKEY, NKDN182. What's going on, gentlemen? We got Valkyrian24. What's up, Maddie? Oh, we got the Penguin Enforcer himself, Daniel Pack. What's up, my brother? We got PierretheGamer. What's up, Pierre? Taking a break from the convention scene, I see. Every weekend, this man Pierre be meeting new freaking celebrities. It's crazy. We got Steve Killer 952. We got Distant Earth. We got Retro Lad. What's going on, you guys? We got Black Dragon. We got Arsene. What's up? We got the Real Mist 4305. We got Dylan Collins. Hey, been enjoying my vacation this week. Oh, that is awesome, man. It's always good to have some time off. Let's see. We have got Wee Man on Wheels. What's up, my boy? I'm ready for these topics. Yes, sir, my brother. Yeah, we've got, as always, every Tuesday night. Y'all know how this goes. We have got a lot to discuss. We got JMac19 in the building. What's up, Neo? What are you doing for Thanksgiving? Happy Thanksgiving, by the way. Oh, this year on Thanksgiving, man, yo, it's going to be pretty chill. Nothing too crazy. Thanksgiving's for me is just literally my sister, my mom, my brother, we just get together and we just have a good night out, man. That's all it is. We just get together, we have all the food cooked and prepped, and then we just chill. We put on a movie, we have some dranky drank, and we just vibe, man. That's honestly all we do Thanksgiving, you know. It's not as crazy compared to, I know, most people out there where all the families get together and they go to different houses. Like they go to one house at 12 and then one house at 4. Like we don't do that. It's just the 4 of us over here. We're just chilling, man. Let's see. We got Red Sage in the chat. We got Hack Eye Sacked. What's up? Or Hacky Sacked. There we go. I don't know why I read Hack Eye Sacked for whatever reason. Kind of looked like it though. We got GC Plugs. What's up, Bobby? Bro, Persona 5 Taxes is surprisingly good. Yo, I've been hearing that from a lot of people. Like Flame's been playing it. Bobby over here. BG, I think, started Persona 5 Tactics as well. So that's great to hear, man. We got Cyber King. We got CB That Guy. What's up, y'all? And I think, yeah, let's see. I said we have Red Sage over there, and I think that's more or less everybody, unless I missed someone. So, yeah, I might as well just go ahead and get the intro out of the way because we've got a lot of topics to discuss tonight. Oh, okay, we got Chicken Eye 210. We could not start a stream without shouting out Chicken Eye. But what's going on, people? What's happening? What's up? Welcome back to another show. This is, man, listen. We got a lot of stuff to discuss tonight. There's a lot of things going on in the gaming world, in the movie world. There's so much stuff that we got to catch up on because it's been a busy yet eventful week. So first things first, if you guys are tuning in for the very first time, welcome to the channel. Whether you've been here for a few minutes or you've been here for years, as always, I appreciate y'all's support. Shout out to the mods doing God's work in the chat tonight. I really appreciate y'all. And shout out to all the people out there who've been donating super chats before the stream even started. We got a couple that I got to get through. Before that, I do want to give a shout out to all of the channel members who've been subbing to the channel over the past couple of years. You guys are great. In addition to just all the new people that we've got, all the new subs recently, and all the folks who've been following your boy on Twitter. I don't really have too much to promote as far as the social media outlets go because nothing has changed from last week to now. So it's the same thing down below in the video descriptions. Twitter.com/NeoGameSpark, our Discord community, the Phantom Weirdos, if you guys want to hang out. And yeah, you know, like this has been this is the second episode of this new podcast show that we are running. Is it really a podcast if it's just one person? It's more like a solo cast. I don't know, because, you know, I feel like you need two peas in a pod for it to be a podcast. But regardless of that, this was something that I had wanted to do for a while, considering while a lot of people love the Ask Neo shows, one of the biggest, I guess you could say, complaints that I'd gotten was that while it is great, people want it to be a bit more structured. They want to have particular topics that are discussed on a weekly basis and then have it to where they can just scrub and watch the stuff that they want to watch. And so I was just like, okay, what's the best way that I could adhere to everybody? Like, we still have the interactions with the chat and all the fun stuff that happens, but at the same time, give something for a lot of the people who want particular topics, and also those who listen on the playback, easy ways to navigate. And that's been the creation of this show. I got a lot of good feedback from the last episode that we did about this show. So I think it is something that is going to stick going forward. And, you know, it is something that does keep me accountable to speak on a lot of these things, because the last thing I want to do is be in a situation where it's like, oh, did I speak about that? Yeah, no, maybe I spoke about that in Ask Neo, and then I forget where we talked about it. So having everything aggregated in one place and then the timestamps updated afterwards is just making shit pretty consistent across the board. So before we dive into the topics for tonight, there are a couple of super chats that I do want to get through. Super chats are a great way for you guys to support the channel, have your question answered with priority, because there are a lot of amazing people watching the show tonight. But I'm only one person. There's only so much we can do, especially when we're trying to run a show. But in between each of the topics, I am going to go ahead and tackle the super chats, and it's a great opportunity to get a lot of input and feedback from you guys if you had something you wanted to say about the particular topic. So if you guys are donating super chats and I'm not getting to them promptly, it is usually because I'm discussing a topic, and then afterwards we have a quick 1-2 minute break where we go over and review all the comments, and then we move on to the next one. So before we dive into those, let's just get these super chats out of the way. We have a $1.99 super chat coming in from Julian Phoenix, and this is actually in relation to a topic we're going to be talking about tonight. Square Enix should have done the Star Wars KOTOR remake, and honestly, I have a lot to say about the KOTOR remake. Square Enix themselves, though, I mean, there are some ideas that I would take from the way they handled the Final Fantasy VII remake as it pertains to how I would modernize KOTOR, but we'll save that for later on in the discussion because I have a lot of stuff to say about that. But appreciate the super chat, my friend. 199 super chat from Hibachi. Spider-Man 2 spoiler discussion? I mean, you know what? The more and more I think about that game, I feel like I need to make that its own separate cast because we have a lot of topics on the docket already. It seems like it needs to be its own separate video or its own separate live stream. But yeah, it's definitely going to be discussed, my brother, because your boy Neo has some thoughts that are definitely going to go against the grain from people. Also, real quick, can I just get a quality check from you guys? How are things looking? It's not lagging. I'm not dropping any frames over here on my end. But is everything coming in crispy for you guys? Especially if anyone's watching it on the TV? Let me know. We have Don the Otaku, who's been a member for the past 6 months of the Phantom Weirdo tier. Appreciate you, my brother. If I see Brian Lee O'Malley or Edgar Wright, it's on site. Everybody but the animators involved with Scott Pilgrim takes the piss and needs to be tried for murder. Ooh. So that is something that I'm going to speak on briefly when we get to the later portion where we just have like, the 20 to 30 minutes of just chatting because I did watch some of Scott Pilgrim Takes Off and again, I've definitely got some thoughts that go against the grain. But yeah, okay, so it's looking like everything is sounding good and everything is looking good. Excellent. Happy to hear that, you guys. Okay, so we have a couple of topics to discuss. Before we get to the juicy stuff y'all want to discuss, as always, we have our warm-up topics of the evening. So, man, listen. You guys are familiar with Snoop Dogg, right? Snoop Doggy Dogg, everybody's favorite smoking uncle. Y'all know Snoop Dogg. Snoop Dogg, the man who's just like, he just has such an insane grasp of not only the rap game, but also just like pop culture in general, just by being himself. And that is one of the best things I can say about Snoop Dogg. Just watching him as an artist and then watching him as an entertainer, it's really been one of the highlights. But last week we got a really out of nowhere, out of the blue, no pun intended, post from Snoop Dogg that caught a lot of people by surprise. And I'm of course referring to this one right over here in regards to Snoop Dogg giving up smoking. That's right. As you guys know, Snoop Dogg has been probably next to Cheech and Chong the most popular celebrity when it comes to marijuana. It's like every single time you see this dude, he's got a spliff in hand, man. Like I remember when because every now and then these companies like EA and Ubisoft would invite celebrities who even have like an inkling of gaming under the belts to trade shows. Like I remember watching, I believe it was Battlefield 1, and this guy was just lighting up in the convention center. Like I don't know what type of pull that this man got in order for them to be able to let him smoke in there, but it was just one of those things where it's just like, yeah, I'm Snoop Dogg, bro. I'm Snoop Dogg. I can just do what I want, man. So when you see a post like this, at first I was just like, nah, this man is bullshitting. Like this man is trolling. There ain't no way in the world Snoop Dogg is over here just giving up weed. Like, it's just one of those things where, if any of you guys know folk who smoke weed pretty consistently, you will sooner find folks who give up cigarettes and alcohol than you find folks who give up weed. So when I saw this, I just knew in the back of my mind, like, there's just something crazy. But at the same time, we do have to take a step back from social media and realize that, hey, maybe there could be something happening with this dude. It might just be something where he's just like, nah, I got to give it up. Like, I don't know. And it was just so funny because over the past couple of days, you start seeing the post of him on Instagram. And one of the posts said something along the lines of, I got a real mental high going on. And the first thought that everybody saw was just that vein on his forehead. Like, this man is battling demons. This man has been sober for 2 days and it's just already taking its toll on him. But funny enough, it wasn't even a week later where we found out that all of this was just an elaborate ruse and marketing at its finest, baby. So Snoop Dogg giving up smoke was because he was part of a Solo Stove collaboration. So in the video right here that's enclosed, you can watch it on Snoop Dogg's Instagram page. he announced that this whole thing was just part of marketing, man. Like, and I mean, it's just one of those things where you're just like, man, you ain't shit, Snoop Dogg. But at the same time, that's marketing, baby. Like, if there was anybody out there, an influencer or otherwise, who could promote a smokeless stove top, it was going to be Snoop Dogg, man. Like, just look at the engagement alone on here, bro. So I just thought that was something funny and something I did want to bring up, because it's just like, he got everybody, bro. He got everybody. Like, I can't even front. That's gonna go down as like a top 10 trolling moment, straight up. So what do you guys think about Snoop Dogg over here? Just like how he just, dude, I'm telling you, Snoop Dogg, if he really wanted to, bro, because, you know, he's online, like, he's a gamer. Every now and then you see him talking about video games and streaming and stuff. But if this man really wanted to, like, he could be a top streamer. I'm not going front. And just in general, like, just one of the funniest things was, I think it was like Christmas 2014 or 2015. It was a year when Xbox's internet was fucking up. He just went online and he was just saying, like, a message to Xbox or Bill Gates or Microsoft or whoever, y'all got to fix your servers or I'm switching to PlayStation. Like, if you really wanted to, man, we need to see Snoop Dogg, the content creator. That's what the streets really need. Alrighty. So now we got a $1.99 super chat coming in from the Sensu Beam Plug. Did you see the Marvel's What If Season 2 trailer? Yes, I did, in fact, see the Season 2 trailer. It's not something I'm going to be really discussing here on the podcast, because it's one of those things where it's like, I wasn't the biggest fan of the first season of What If. It had some interesting concepts, some interesting episodes, like one of which in particular was one of my all-time favorites, that being, you know, what if Doctor Strange lost his hands? But as a whole, I just feel like the concept of what if, at least the MCU version of it, it wasn't as good as it could have been. You know what I'm saying? Like, when you look at the Marvel what ifs in the comics and how they really get drastic with those type of stories, this just wasn't different enough for my liking. It was just like very, very, very safe. And there's reasonings as to why, obviously, because of the MCU, and they don't want to get too crazy with some of these alternate stories because they might be saving that for something they do later down the road. But yeah, I did watch the trailer. It's interesting, the approach that they're doing with this. Instead of it coming out week to week, it's going to be released daily, like once every day for, I think, 9 days. And they're trying to do that as like the 9 days of Marvel's What If Christmas. I mean, I don't know. It could just be them trying to dump this out, and it might be traga, it might be basura, or it could just be them experimenting with different release structures, because they're doing the same thing with Echo. Echo, I believe, is dropping all the episodes at once when that comes out. I think it's like early 2024, January, February, around that time. Again, it could be a sign that the show is bad and they just want to sweep it under the rug, and the less said about it, the better. Because, you know, if you have something that's so bad and it comes out all at once, you don't have an opportunity for the news cycle to rip it apart every single week. So yeah, we'll see what happens as far as that's concerned. And then we got a $2 super chat coming in from the homie Flame. Yes, Neo, Persona 5 Tactica is fantastic. Oh my fucking God. You see, well, there you go, man. I mean, like I said, there's a lot of things on the docket, and eventually at some point within my lifetime, I will get to playing Persona 5 Tactica. Will I have a kid by then? Who's to say? Who knows? All right. So now that we've gotten that warm-up topic out of the way, let's go ahead and dive into the first major story of the night. Man, listen. Far be it from me to try to rain on the parade of folks who love the MCU. I love the MCU. I really do. But if there's something that we've been seeing over the past couple of years of the MCU, is that there's just so much... There's just so much stuff is up in the air. It doesn't seem as organized as it once was a few years ago. And we're not just talking about the way that the movies and the TV shows have been handled. We're talking about a lot of the stuff that's happening with the actors off screen. And then stuff happening with the actors off screen is affecting how they're going to change stuff in the future. And what am I talking about, you guys? I am talking about the next 2 Avengers films, because we got a pretty major update on the next Avengers movie. That is potentially, it could be good news for the future, but just with everything happening in the Marvel machine, it just seems like just another example of like, there's way too much stuff happening. They grew way too big, way too fast. And I'm of course referring to Avengers, the Kang Dynasty, aka Avengers 5. This movie had already been suffering some problems. the writer's strike had pushed back the production of this movie, so much to the point where they had to delay the film an additional year in addition to Avengers Secret Wars. But now it's just been dealt another pretty big blow with the departure of its director, Destin Daniel Cretton. Now, for those who are unaware, Destin Daniel Cretton, at least as it pertains to the Marvel Cinematic Universe, was the director of Shang-Chi and the Legend of the Ten Rings, a movie which I really friggin' enjoy. Like, yeah, it does adhere to the formula in a lot of situations where it really shouldn't, but for the most part, I felt like it was a very, very solid origin story for Shang-Chi. It boasted some of the best combat that we had seen in a Marvel movie, and even with its faults of, you know, the third act CGI giant monster for the sake of having a giant monster, one of the things that I loved about Shang-Chi and the Legend of the Ten Rings was that it did something that a lot of the Marvel projects recently haven't really been doing well, and it gave you a character to care about, and it had a lot of heart and soul. I know these are just buzzwords that are thrown around, but it's true. Like, you actually cared about the stuff that was happening with Shang-Chi and the relationship with his father, Wenwu. Like, just all of that stuff was just beautiful, beautiful, beautiful. So when they announced that Destin was going to be working on the Kang Dynasty, I got excited. I mean, it was very strange considering, you know, part of me wanted this man to go straight into Shang-Chi too, because I like, whenever you have a really good director, you want them to work on a sequel, especially if it's in an ever-growing universe like Marvel. Like, no, give this man another Shang-Chi movie. But it seemed like this man had signed an overall deal with a lot of things happening at Marvel. He was involved with the TV series Wonder Man, which we'll talk about in a little bit, in addition to developing a spin-off from Shang-Chi and the Legend of the Ten Rings, focusing on Shang-Chi's sister, who, I mean, I guess is a spoiler alert if you haven't seen the movie. At the end of the film, she takes over the organization from her father. So, you know, it seemed like this man was doing a lot of stuff, but then to announce that he's going to be working on an Avengers film, that was crazy. Absolutely insane. But it looks like he's not going to be doing that anymore. So yeah, this is coming from The Hollywood Reporter. Destin Daniel Cretton is no longer taking a trip to the multiverse for the next Avengers movie. And this backs up a lot of the claims from before that Jeff Loveness, who was the writer on Ant-Man and the Wasp: Quantumania, and he was also working on Avengers: The Kang Dynasty, he's not going to be working on this movie at all. Period. Which, honestly, I feel like this is the best part of the situation, even though it had been rumored for the longest time. The biggest problem that we've seen with Marvel, I mean, outside of, like, you know, them not knowing the exact vision of the movie before they shoot it, hence why a lot of the CGI in the Marvel movies has been bad as of late, because they just decide, like, last minute, oh no, we need to change this, and then they overwork the VFX artists. The biggest problem is that they have not had the strongest writers. Now, listen, I'm not saying that every single movie needs to have, you know, something on the level of The Dark Knight or Andor or whatever, but it really pays when you have writers who can actually, you know, write quality shit. But the writing for a lot of Phase 4 and Phase 5, not all the projects, but a lot of them, has just been very, like, who wrote this? Like, is this somebody's nephew? Is this somebody's cousin who needed a job? And you feel that, like, the tightness of the writing from previous Marvel movies was just not the same here. It just felt very, man, I don't even want to say this because I feel like it's just a discredit to a lot of the stuff happening nowadays, but it felt like it was done by an AI. Like, honestly, I'm gonna just be honest. It just felt like, okay, these are the beats that you need to get. You know, you have to have the Marvel humor. You got to have the joke. You have to have the setup for the joke. You have to make the reference here. That's what it felt like. So the less of that, the better. That's all I can say. And if you watched Ant-Man and the Wasp: Quantumania, dude, there's not a single line of dialogue in that movie that I can point to that is just like, yo, you did the thing with this. Like, even in some of the, like, weaker Marvel projects, there's just a line of dialogue where I'm just like, all right, you know, you cooked with that shit. The only thing I got from Quantumania was, don't be a dick. Like, that's the only thing. And listen, I'm not trying to make this into an Ant-Man rant, but, you know, Marvel needs better writers. They need better writers for these projects, and that is something that we have seen since the writer strike has happened, and with all the rules and stipulations they have now, and just the blowback and the reception. Marvel's been getting way too many, like, rotten things. Kevin Feige realizes there's a problem. And while they can't necessarily do a full-on course correct of things happening in the universe. The fact that what's been happening with the writer's strike, Jonathan Majors, and now Kang, I feel is giving Marvel an interesting opportunity to do a quasi pivot into something that's a bit more coherent. So this whole thing that's been happening with the Kang Dynasty, I know a lot of people look at it as, oh, well, the reason why they're trying to pivot away from Kang is because Kang as a character has not worked. He's had a couple appearances since he's been introduced, and no one really messes with it. I don't necessarily think that's the problem. Jonathan Majors, his personal drama aside, is not the issue when it comes to Kang. The issue has always been with the writing of Kang. His first major foray in this universe that most people, the general audiences who are going to go to the movies and watch, was in Ant-Man and the Wasp: Quantumania. He was not a threat in that movie at all. I know a lot of people like to point to, well, look what he did here in this scene. It was menacing. It's like, no. Like, when you proudly proclaim and you pound your chest saying that this is going to be the next villain who's going to be on the level of Thanos, because that is what they did, and then you have this dude get beat so easily by Ant-Man, and not in a really clever way. It's just something that was an ass pull. Like, it takes away all of his credibility, and yet we're supposed to get excited for future variants of him. Like that post-credit scene where it's like, yeah, we're teasing the Kang Dynasty, and look at all these variants. Like, you just did Kang the Conqueror. No one was scared of this dude. Why am I going to get scared of 4 or 5 other dudes? Like, come on now. So everything comes down to the writing at the end of the day. And I really hope that they see that it was the writing and not necessarily the character that was the problem, because Kang could have been handled exceptionally well with better writers, and they weren't trying to adhere to all this other world building shit they're trying to do instead of focusing on the characters, because characters over world building. But we can't ignore the obvious elephant in the room, the whole Jonathan Majors legal drama. Now, I'm not going to sit here and act as if I know what this man did, whether he's guilty, whether he's innocent. I'm just going to let it play out in court. Just leave it alone as is. But when it comes down to it, this man is still involved in a billion-dollar franchise. And when you have that much uncertainty attached to an actor, like, I know you always want to give the benefit of the doubt, but in business like this, sometimes they're just like, you know what? Maybe it's easier if we just cut our losses right now, not try to burn any crazy bridges, and then see where we can readjust. And if you watch Loki Season 2's finale, this isn't necessarily a spoiler, but there is a way for them to quietly move on from the Kang storyline without them having too much of a repercussion. Because it'd be one thing if they rested all their laurels on this character and they came out with this like insane cliffhanger and then that was it, sure. But Ant-Man and the Wasp: Quantumania was not well received. It did not do well at the box office. Most people aren't going to care. The amount of people watching Disney Plus shows, even though Loki Season 2 was phenomenal and I loved it, there wasn't necessarily so much emphasis on the character of Kang where you can't tell other stories surrounding him. Because what happens right now with Marvel is that it feels directionless. Even though they're seeding all of these different storylines throughout different series, there is no one main direction where they're going towards. And because that's the case, you can find a way where you can pivot to a more centralized villain. I think the idea of them going to Doom immediately, I don't think that's the wisest approach, because Doom as a character, I feel like you need to build him up over the course of a couple of movies and then make him a major threat rather than just being like, fuck it, let's just do Doom now. You know what I'm saying? Like, I just feel like that's a disservice to the character of Victor Von Doom. But now they have an opportunity where it's just like, all right, you know, we just want good stories. We want characters that we care about. We want to see them on their adventures. And if you make good stories with good characters and then you are slowly seeding and building up a villain in the background, I don't think anyone is really going to worry about Kang not being there. I will say, though, it does suck, though, because we could have done a lot more with that character. And just Jonathan Majors as an actor, he is phenomenal. But at the end of the day, you know, just being a fan of like comics, and there's always going to be other characters to bring in. There's always going to be more actors to play those characters. And what I want at the end of the day is I just want, and I say this all the time when we talk about Marvel, I want a return to having weight in these productions. I want a return to them actually wanting us to care about these characters. And that's the biggest difference between the early phases of the movies and now. While the early phases of the movies weren't the greatest in terms of quality, at least you cared about the characters enough to want to see where they go in the future. The stories that they had them in the movies, with the journeys they went on, you felt like there was something that they accomplished by the end. There was at least some growth. Nowadays, it just feels like they're players in a random special. Like a lot of the Marvel projects now, instead of feeling like full-fledged, I mean, again, some of the stuff like Shang-Chi, Guardians, Black Panther withstanding, like they feel as if they're just random specials. Like, you know how there'd be a TV show and you'd have a season of the show, and then every now and then that TV show would have like a random special or holiday special where it doesn't put too much weight on the characters in terms of developments, but it could be like a fun little adventure that they go on, and that's fine. I feel like that's what we're getting with a lot of the projects now. It's like, yeah, let's just do this thing, and then we'll build a universe in the background instead of being like, no, let's pump the brakes and let's care about the characters and what they're doing. So to finish up everything here happening with Destin, even though he's not going to be directing Avengers anymore, he is still going to be working within the Marvel fold. So, you know, he's going to probably, now that he's gotten that out of the way, he's going to be diving full force into Shang-Chi, why did I have a tongue twister with that? Into Shang-Chi 2. Now, when that comes out, we do not know because, you know, like the way the schedules are with everything. But yeah, like I'm definitely more excited for that than an Avengers movie because if it's just a more grounded personal story with the characters, it'll be interesting to see where that goes. And then he's also working on Wonder Man, which may or may not get retooled depending on the whole writer's strike and everything. Because that was affected by the strikes, but they are gonna, you know, go back to filming it. But we'll see what happens. The next Avengers movie, you know, if they want to stick to that May 1st, 2026 date, 2024 has got to be the year where they just nut up or shut up, because 2026 is when that movie comes out, and they're supposed to have another Avengers movie, Secret Wars, in 2027. Do you guys remember there was a time where we were going to get 2 Avengers movies in like a, 4 or 5 month time span? Like, they were really trying to do that. They were going to do Secret Wars and Kang Dynasty at the same time. Now, that could have been really cool if it was like a 2-parter, like a legit 2-parter in the same months, like in the same year, and that's the reason why they're doing it. But obviously, that's not the case now. And like I said, push back all these projects. Even if you have to push back Secret Wars to 2028, I don't care, man. Just make that like a 20-year celebration of the MCU, and then end it. Don't soft reboot it. Just end it. Like, put a definitive cap on it, and then we're good. But yeah, we'll see what happens with that. So let's just go ahead and check out some of the comments from you guys on what you think about this. In the meantime, I'll just go catch up on some super chats. And if you guys are enjoying the stream, make sure you do me a favor and hit that like button. It helps out the channel tremendously. We're currently at 38 likes. All right, so we have a $1.99 super chat coming in from Zack Rodriguez. Chris, what is the money percentage you get for super chats? So honestly, I haven't really checked them too much, but I know it's like, I mean, that'll be a question that I look into later on for the next stream. Actually, you know what? No, we're going to do a live Google check. Super chat revenue split, because I last I checked, I think it was like 60-40. Okay, so this is coming from here. So YouTube has a 70-30 revenue split. So basically 70-30 revenue. So I would get 70, they take 30. But I don't know, for some reason it feels like more that YouTube's been taking as of late. But no, everything I'm seeing here is, as far as that is concerned, 30%. So yeah, there you guys go. And this just goes to show how much I just don't, I mean, I appreciate all the support you guys give me, but it's not like something I'm just like, oh. But I will say the best approach, if you do want, as far as like revenue and make sure it doesn't go straight to YouTube, is either PayPal or, well, Patreon. Patreon, I believe, takes less than YouTube by comparison. Let me do a Patreon revenue split. Yeah, Patreon takes way less by wow, they say it's like 5% of each transaction. So I would say if you guys do want to like support and make sure it actually goes like less split wise, Patreon is going to be the best approach, which would be down below in the description if you guys are interested. Anyway, $4.99 super chat coming in from Long Live Kevin Samuels. Yes, sir. Madam Web thoughts. I thought it looks like a 2-pack of ass. Why can't Sony make a proper Spider-Man film when they own the character? Okay. Yeah, sorry. So I didn't want to make this a topic because I didn't want to get too negative with all the Marvel news, but we're going to make this a pseudo topic before we dive into the bigger stuff. Did you guys see that trailer for Sony's latest installment in their, let me get this right, Sony Pictures universe of Marvel characters? The SPUM. The SPUM is what everyone's calling it, right? Like SPUM, Sony Pictures universe of Marvel. Like, yes, another one. Joining the likes of the 2 Venom movies, everybody and their mama's favorite film, Morbius, the soon-to-be-released Kraven the Hunter. Now we've got Madam Web, which people are complaining... they're proclaiming it's No Way Home, but for girls, because that's totally the reason why No Way Home worked. Oh boy, but Sony in their continued money laundering scheme that is their adaptations of Marvel characters in live action. They just dropped a trailer for Madam Web because everybody was looking forward to a Madam Web movie. Oh, brother. And honestly, it looks everything that you expect out of a Sony Pictures adaptations, live action adaptations. I have to stress that because, the Spider-Verse team is different. Anything from Sony Pictures live action division when it comes to Marvel characters, it looks like this, man. And we all know the reasons as to why. Sony, they have the Spider-Man film rights, but they don't own the rights indefinitely. The only thing that is really keeping them afloat when it comes to Spider-Man film rights has been the fact that Spider-Man is a popular character and he's in the MCU movies. However, even though he's in the MCU, they cannot make a movie with Spider-Man without talking to Marvel, at least in that continuity. So they need to do their own thing. And obviously, since they have the rights, they have the IP, this is a surefire way for them to make money. So what do? They did Venom without Spider-Man, which I thought was a stupid idea because those 2 characters are linked. But you know what? Venom made close to $1 billion. And listen, hey. Far be it from me to get in the way of people and their enjoyment of those movies. I saw the first Venom movie, not through legal means, and I was just like, wow, this is just exactly the movie that I would expect from a company who just wants to secure the rights. Like, that's honestly what it came out as. But people had fun with it, so it is what it is. And then they did a second one. Yeah. And then some people started to wake up to it. They're just like, oh no, this wasn't as fun as the last time. And then they dropped Morbius, which was definitely a movie. It was a film that they shot with cameras and Jared Leto. And now they're doing that again with Madam Web. And I'm just be honest, I don't give a fuck about any of the people in this movie, man. Like, I see it, and this looks like the most... Bro, this looks like a CW movie. Like, I'm sorry. Like, I just look at it and just the way it's shot and the way things are framed and just nothing about this movie is just even remotely interesting. And even some of the concepts that they're going to be playing within the film, I just know it's not going to be fully realized because it's Sony Pictures, bro. It's Sony Pictures. It's Avi Arad. This man be producing all this crap. It's just you know what? You know what you're getting when you go into these movies. And, they're going to do the Sony thing. And by that, I mean, they're going to try their best to try to what's the term I'm looking for? Bamboozle the Spider-Man fandom. They're going to try their best because what they're going to do, like they did with Morbius, they'll have Spider-Man in the ad. Spider-Man's not in the movie. They're going to try to make it seem like it's connected to the MCU. No, it's not. It's just some bullshit that they did. What they're going to do in this movie is they're probably going to say that, well, it's a prequel and it's going to be about, Uncle Ben and when he was younger and blah, blah, blah. And they have to protect infant Peter Parker because of blah, blah, blah. They're going to do some bullshit to try to get people invested in this. But they don't have a plan. They don't have a plan for these things. And listen, if that's what people want to see, then far be it from me to get in their way. Madam Web, it's a movie where people got paid to work on it. And that's fine. That's fine. If you guys love it, I love it even more. Like, I just, it's just like, Are we gonna get good stuff like a Silk movie? Are we gonna like not from Sony Pictures live action? So just stop expecting this. Stop expecting these things. If you go through life and you realize that you are never gonna get those things, you won't be disappointed. You will never be disappointed. So it's like when you see that, you're just like, oh, good job, Sony. You know, it's like it's so confusing because this is the same company that in the same breath they'll put out a game like Spider-Man 2. And I know obviously it's because the people working on those projects, they love it. But they'll put out Spider-Man 2. They'll put out Across the Spider-Verse. And then they'll do this. And then they'll do this. It's like what Thanos said, you guys. This is perfectly balanced. That's what it is. Because this is the same Sony that tried to make an Aunt May spin-off movie where she was a secret agent spy. And I'm not talking about Marissa Tomei. I'm talking about they were going to do a prequel movie for Sally Field's Aunt May where she was a spy. Like, we're just... Oh, God, bro. I encourage you guys, go back and read the Sony Hacks leak of 2014. Just type in like Spider-Man Sony Hack leak 2014. The ideas that this company, like, dude, it's literally, they do this all the time. They did it with Spider-Man 3. They did it with The Amazing Spider-Man 2. It's just, this is ingrained in their DNA. Provided Avi Arad and Amy Pascal are there, this is what they're doing. And honestly, I don't even think they care if these movies don't make money. Like, really, realistically, like, Venom 3 is coming out. They just announced that it's filming again. Is that a threat? That feels like a threat to me. That's a loaded threat. But I want to see how well Venom 3 does. Because we've seen a lot of blockbusters flop this year. Whether they're good or bad, they've been flopping left, right, and center. Like, those are the real terror flops. But if Venom doesn't do good, if the third Venom movie comes out and they're gonna try their best, they're good, because what they're gonna do is they're gonna throw in that stuff. They're gonna try to have it be like a Spider-Man thing, and they're trying to make a Venom versus Spider. They're gonna do something so superficial to try to get people into it. But if that doesn't work and the movie flops, I genuinely think they're gonna have to take a step back, because at this point they're just bleeding money. Because Morbius bombed. This Madam Web movie is not going to make any money. Kraven the Hunter, by some miracle, I don't know. Like, it's just, I need all these movies to flop. I need them to flop, bro. I just need strings of flops for Sony. Just so but you know what? If those movies flop, oh God, they're going to start looking at Spider-Verse. They're going to be like, hey, man. You got that nice Spider-Verse movie? No, we got that Spider-Verse movie. Let's just go ahead and let's do what we couldn't do with the live action one, but we'll do it with the animation. We'll rush into production, 14 spin-off shows. Being a Spider-Man fan is so infuriating at times because it could have been so simple, but it can't be. You got to roll with the punches. Every now and then, it's like you get a good run on the comics. And then you get some fuck shit. And then you get a good run on the comics. And then there's some more fuck shit. It is what it is, you guys. It is what it is. But yeah, what do you guys think about 50 Shades of Madam Web? What do y'all think about that? Comment down below and let me know. Alrighty. So before we move into the next topic, I want to give a huge shout out to everybody who's been enjoying the stream in between. Shout out to you guys. If you're enjoying the stream, make sure you hit that like button. Helps out the channel tremendously. Alrighty. Now that we have gotten that out of the way, let's just go ahead and dive into the next topic of the night. We're going to be steering clear from the realm of Marvel for a change, and we're going to be speaking very briefly on something else that is owned by Disney, and we're going to be talking about Star Wars. That's right, ladies and gentlemen. Man, listen. Y'all know Dave Filoni, right? You know, Dave Filoni, man who brought us Star Wars: The Clone Wars. He's been dipping his toe in the live-action realm with The Mandalorian, and he recently headlined the Ahsoka series, right? Dave Filoni, he's a huge Star Wars nerd, George Lucas's protege, and for the longest time, a lot of people have been wondering, why doesn't Dave Filoni run the company? Like, this guy clearly loves Star Wars. He works on Star Wars. Shouldn't he be an ideal fit? Unfortunately, that's not how it works in business. Simply loving the product and working on the product is not enough to manage things and oversee things, as we've seen with a lot of industries. However, just because someone is not necessarily a fan of something doesn't mean that they can't effectively manage the brand. But it does definitely help when you are a fan of something, because you can have your ear to the ground to what people want to see and know when you shouldn't piss off the fandom. That's something that Dave Filoni is really good at. But the powers that be at Lucasfilm and Disney were never going to hand this man the keys to the kingdom, just because you know how it is with these C-suite executives. Oh no, we know the brand more than these people do. Like, you work on a cartoon, bro. Like, how in the world would you know how to run the empire? Like, no, you just know. You stay over there with your little action figures. You know, you can make shows and movies about your action figures, but let us handle the big executive decisions. And we've seen how well that's worked out for the Star Wars brand. Sometimes you just need to let the chefs in the kitchen cook before y'all start proclaiming all this nonsense. And that's what we've seen repeatedly with a lot of projects recently. With Andor from Tony Gilroy, with the Jedi games from Respawn, and with what Dave Filoni and Jon Favreau have been doing with the Mandoverse. You know, not every single production that they've put out has been stellar, but for the most part, it's definitely a lot more consistent and coherent by comparison to, well, how the batch of Star Wars movies has been recently. But we got some major news in regards to management at Lucasfilm, and it seems that a lot of people are going to be getting their wish, because our boy Dave Filoni has just got himself a promotion. That's right, ladies and gentlemen. Dave Filoni has nabbed himself the role of Chief Creative Officer for Lucasfilm. This man is going to be overseeing and helping out with the development of future projects at Lucasfilm, which is insane, because this first off, this is a long time coming. Absolutely a long time coming for someone like Dave Filoni, who has been involved in the Sheen for as long as he has been, like, what, 20 years now, because he started work on, I know he worked on Avatar: The Last Airbender, and then he moved over to Clone Wars. So, you know, it's been almost 20 years that this man has been living and breathing Star Wars. Now he has an executive level role, which is phenomenal. And the cool thing about this one is that Dave Filoni, being the CCO of Star Wars, that doesn't mean he's going to go in there and tell people how to work on the projects. Like, he's still going to be hands-on, but he's going to be letting people do what they do. I'm not telling people what to do, but I do feel I'm trying to help them tell the best story they want to tell. I need to be a help across the galaxy here, like a part of the Jedi Council almost. And that is awesome, because what we have seen with a lot of the stuff in Star Wars is that if you don't have direction there, you don't have a good product. You need to have something that you stand behind. And unfortunately, with a lot of the Star Wars movies, the sequel trilogy, and I'm not going to harp too much on the sequel trilogy because it's a dead issue. You know, I'm not going to sit here and say that, you know, like, it's just one of those things where it's like, okay, we get it. The sequels were nowhere near as good as they could have been. But the biggest problem is because there has been no direction. They did not have a surefire plan for this, and it makes zero sense considering this is the era of the MCU where you can have things be coherent, and somehow Star Wars couldn't nail a trilogy, you know, a trilogy that was done in 4 years. You like, what? Like, how, you know what I'm saying? So it's major oversight. But when you have somebody like Filoni in here, who is a Star Wars veteran, and he knows the brand and he knows what he's doing, all they needed was this dude to get his feet wet in the production side of things, like the live action realm, because unfortunately, there is still this stigma when it comes to animation, that if you work in animation, it is considered lesser entertainment, even though there's countless scores of animated projects that are better than a lot of their live action counterparts. But for a lot of the general public, they would much rather see something in live action versus something that's animated, which is so weird to me, considering we have animated movies that are making billions of dollars now and getting critical acclaim across the board on all streaming services. But regardless of that, they didn't take this man seriously until he started working on The Mandalorian, and then when he did Ahsoka. And I think that the telemetry and the data that they got from Ahsoka and how that show was received was, I guess you could say, in a good way, the proverbial nail in the coffin to give this man more oversight to the Star Wars brand. Because that's all they really needed, man. Because they saw how good the Mando stuff was doing, but they wanted to see how this man did on his own. And Ahsoka, from beginning to end, that was Dave Filoni's baby, right? Like, created the character, and then now he's headlining a live-action show. And it was really solid. Like, I mean, yeah, I have issues with Ahsoka as a show itself, but overall, like, I'm looking at it, and it's inoffensive. It's not controversial. It's not problematic. It's not splitting the fandom down the middle. It does a lot of good things that get people excited for the future. And it was for something that really wasn't envisioned as having multiple seasons. We just got word that they're going to be working on a sequel to Ahsoka, which is awesome. So yeah, congratulations to Dave Filoni. I'm excited to see what they do. Hopefully they can actually get a Star Wars movie off the ground within this lifetime, because it's crazy to think about the last Star Wars movie, even though it was 4 years ago. The fact that we don't really have any concrete updates about when the next one is going to film. Like, I know they announced 3 movies. They announced Filoni's movie. They announced the, it's not episode 10, but, you know, it's the next movie with Rey, so I'll call it episode 10. And then they have the movie with, James Mangold, right? They have those 3 movies, but James Mangold is working on another film, so he's not going to get to his in a while. All the people who are involved in the production of that movie that is about Rey, but it wasn't related to Rey, they keep leaving off the project, and it's just a lot of like people who work on Star Wars movies who aren't working on Star Wars movies, right? Shawn Levy was involved in one, he's not doing it. Taika Waititi is apparently working on it, but then again, we don't know with Taika Waititi just with his track record as of late. So it's a lot of crazy chaotic shit happening with the movie side of things. Meanwhile, the TV shows seem to be going over well. Like, they're starting work on a second season of Ahsoka, you know, Mandalorian season 4. Like, it's just like, how hard is it to get a Star Wars movie off the ground? Like, we have Andor season 2 coming, which Andor, in my opinion, is the best piece of Star Wars live action content that we have gotten in a very, 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 very long time, because it's a great fucking show. Like, it's a great, well-written show. Like, that level of writing, listen, I love what Filoni does with the lore. It's great. But if you had to make me choose between Andor level writing and like just the lore and all that stuff, I would take the Andor level writing. I love that shit. But yeah, regardless of that, this is very good news, and we'll see where it goes from there. But what do you guys think about this whole situation? What are your overall thoughts about the Star Wars brand as a whole? Because this is something that I see like going online with folks about Star Wars. Like, and this is what bothers me, honestly. Like, it's one of those things that, again, it's like people who make the sequel trilogy hating on the sequel trilogy, and they make that their whole entire personality. It's like, okay, we get it. The sequel trilogy is buns. That doesn't mean there aren't still good Star Wars products coming out. We have Andor, the Jedi games, and some of the other stuff that's in development right now. Like, there's good Star Wars stuff. It's okay to admit that there's good Star Wars stuff amidst all the dreck. Because if you've been a Star Wars fan for any amount of time, you know that a lot of the EU content wasn't the greatest stuff. There was some stuff that was really good, but there's a lot of stuff that's just like, why? So I think we're in a similar phase right now with Disney Star Wars, where we're getting good content. Unfortunately, the guiding star, you know, the main pieces of media that people consume the movies have not been great, but we're seeing that there is still good stuff happening if you let people cook. That's all that matters. We need to just let these creatives cook and do these things. And yes, you can have oversight, you can oversee them, you can guide them, you can shepherd them, but making sure that everybody is on the same page about what this thing is supposed to be, that is what is critical, and that is what is crucial to making the brand thrive. That's all we need. That's all we need. Less of this like, okay, we'll do this, and oh no, you didn't guys like that? Okay, reactionary, we're gonna switch it out. Like, be consistent with it. Tell the story you want to tell, and then go on from there. But yeah, now that we have gotten that topic out of the way, let's move into the next topic for the night. We're taking a break from talking everything involving the TV world, the movies, and we're going to get back into the gaming world with our very first warm-up topic, which may or may not be an update to something we discussed before. I'm not entirely sure, but I will give people the benefit of the doubt that I did not discuss it. Or should I say give myself the benefit of the doubt. Man, listen. You guys know WB Games, right? y'all know WB Games. You know these people. They've brought us such incredible titles. You know, whether it's through their own in-house teams like NetherRealms or the Mortal Kombat games, or you know the Batman Arkham trilogy from Rocksteady. You know, WB Games, every now and then they just know how to put out some hits, right? Hogwarts Legacy, one of the biggest selling titles of the year. You know, like when it comes down to these single player story-driven narratives, and then Mortal Kombat, like they just seem to be doing their thing, man, and it's paying off dividends for them, right? But unfortunately, like every single good thing, it's not enough. Sometimes you want to get some more stuff. Sometimes you want to milk the cow until the cow's titties start falling off. And with many trends that exist in the gaming industry as of now, y'all know live service was something WB was looking at. So we heard from the WB CEO, David Zaslav, a few weeks ago, oh boy, everyone's favorite, that they were heavily investing in live service for the future of WB Games. That they were looking into making a lot of their upcoming titles live service in some way, shape, form, or fashion. Now, we don't exactly know the gist of what that means, whether it's like a live service component or they're just making games from the ground up. We don't know. But that is something that these companies are looking at. Because when you look at these games in the industry, Fortnite, when you look at Apex, when you look at Destiny, when you look at Warzone, all these games make money and they are live service titles. So if they can do that, why can't we do that? And when we have these IPs, oh my God, it's like it's gonna write itself. We'll just hire these dudes. They'll click on a keyboard, and listen, we got it. We got live service potential, baby. So there was a rumor that came out a week ago that the upcoming Wonder Woman game from the developers of the Middle-earth games, you guys know Lord of the Rings titles. They're working on Wonder Woman, a game that they announced, I think, like what, 2 years ago, and we still haven't seen anything about it. There was a rumor that there was going to be some type of live service integration based off of a job listing from someone who they wanted, a person who had experience with, you know, live service elements, microtransactions, content drops, new seasons, things like that, which is pretty much the antithesis of the Middle-earth games, considering Monolith, they made single-player titles. They weren't online in any way, shape, or form, or at least not to the degree where it's a functioning part of your game. But yeah, that prompted a lot of people to be like, what? You know, like, really? Like, the first time, like, niggas been crying and begging for a Wonder Woman game for decades, and then it's just like, oh yeah, y'all can get it. But Monkey Paw Effect, it's just like Wonder Woman 84. It's like Monkey Paw Effect. It's gonna be live service. Thankfully, it is not. Now, this is coming to us from Insider Gaming. They have confirmed that Wonder Woman is in fact not going to be a live service title. So in a statement made over to IGN, representatives of Warner Brothers wrote, Wonder Woman is a single-player action-adventure game set in a dynamic open world. This third-person experience will allow players to become Diana of Themyscira and introduce an original story set in the DC universe while also featuring the Nemesis system, the patent Nemesis system, I might add. Wonder Woman is not being designed as a live service game. So what they're basically saying is, shut the fuck up, everybody. Please, no, do not let this story gain traction, which, honestly, based off of how quick they had to respond to this, yeah, I assume they wanted to break this. Oh, okay, this is interesting. They say it's expected to release next year. Well, I mean, honestly, like, if you go 3 years without it not showing any footage, that'd be one thing. But if it comes out next year, we'll see. I don't know. I'd like to be surprised. But okay, yeah. So that's a good thing. That's a good thing that it's gonna be single player only. That's fine. To the same degree, though, I think that the idea of a live service element in a superhero game, it could work if you realize that it needs to be its own separate thing, its own separate mode, and not the lifeblood of the title, which was the biggest problem with the Avengers game. The fact that literally it's like, okay, we have this campaign, we're going to put some effort in the campaign, but the entire mission structure of the game is just coaching you for the online. Like, that's basically the gist of what I got from that Avengers game. Like, I know people enjoy the story, but dude, the only thing you get out of how you play that game is like, wow, this is just a glorified tutorial. It's a tutorial with voice acting. That's all it is. Tutorial with voice acting and cutscenes for what they want to get you to do with the online. And that's just, I don't know, man. I don't know. I feel like if you want to do it, it's got to be its own separate thing, man. You can't just bake that into a campaign to try to ease people into it. It could be something that could work. Like just the idea of having a live service superhero game where you play as like a team of characters and you go on missions and like that stuff could work. Like I was talking about this with one of my boys a few years ago when they announced that Ubisoft Massive, the guys who worked on The Division, that they were doing the Star Wars game. This is before we saw that it was going to be just a traditional open world single player game. Because they worked on The Division, we were thinking, oh, is it going to be like a Star Wars live service game? And honestly, I kind of like the idea if it's similar to, let's say, like Star Wars Bounty Hunters, where you play as a bounty hunter. Like, let's say you play as the Mandalorian and you go on missions with your boys and your homies. And sure, you can have a narrative spliced into the mix. But it's something it's separate. It's its own separate thing. You're playing original characters. It's like you set the expectations with that. But when it's something like the Avengers and it's something that you're just like, okay, we're saying there's a campaign, but listen, it's just a demo for this. You get what I'm saying? Like, it can be good. It can be very good. We've seen that happen, but it's just got to be handled right. And unfortunately, I just don't have faith in these people. Like, just the idea of live service and the potential of live service, if done right, is just it's just everything else just far outweighs it, because there are way more failures than success stories. And I'm talking about genuine success stories, because I always get some pushback from people online when it comes to discussing live service, that it's like, well, Neo, you only talk about the failures and the obvious successes. What about this game right here that had success? Well, yeah, that game that had success and then it closed down later. Like I don't. Like, dude, it's one of those things where you say a game is a successful live service game and then it dies within 2 years. Okay, it lived past 6 months, but less than 2 years and it's dead. And then at that point, your game becomes a paperweight if you bought physical, or, you know, everything you bought just poof, ceases to exist, man. Like, you really got no proof that you really did anything in that game outside of the time you put into it. And was it really worth it? Was it really worth it for a game that you put all those hours in and it's no longer being supported in less than 2 years, and you spent all that money not only on the base game, but all of the season passes and all this extra content? Like, honestly, to me, I don't think that's a great value proposition, you know? Which is why I will always champion really good, legitimate single player or co-op titles over the potential of a live service game being good. Because as we've seen, it's like playing Russian roulette with a fully loaded assault rifle, and you just got to put more money in the clip every single time. And I can't vibe with that. So, you know, like, for example, Halo Infinite, listen, it's doing good now with its new season, and I'm legitimately happy for everyone who's enjoying playing Halo. But just the time that it took for it to get to that point, I don't. This is where I'm just going to take myself out of the equation and not speak on it, which is why I haven't really tweeted about Halo in forever, because I'm like, you know what, y'all enjoy it, that's fine, and that's okay. I'll do other things, I'll play other things, and I'll be all right with it. So yeah, that's just my whole live service thing. Live service what's the term? My soapbox thing, where it's just like, listen, I want to play a really good live service game. Oh, okay, here comes Flame saying, well, listen, do I have a game for you? He's about to recommend Warframe. I really do, and I think the concept of having it with superheroes could be awesome. It could be fun, but just, are the developers going to be giving time to cook? Are they going to have a publisher who believes in them? Are they really the right fit for it? I don't know. Sometimes you could have a really, really great IP, and then you think it's a surefire hit, and then pair them with a team that might not be the greatest fit. And you will probably question yourselves after the fact, wondering, why did we do this? Where's the oversight? Like, is there no one there who can stop this? Ooh, that's actually a perfect segue into our next topic. Ooh, this boy Neo, holy shit. But before we get into that, comment down below and let me know, you guys. What do you think about this whole situation with Wonder Woman? Are you happy that it's confirmed to not be a live service game? What do you think about live services as a whole? And also, if you're watching this on the playback, comment down below on your ideal pitch for a live service game. It could be in any medium. It could be an anime. It could be a manga. It could be like your favorite book that you've been reading. You're like, yeah, let me just get some reoccurring loop drops for this one. Like, just let me know down below. Now, that being said, you guys, before we dive into the next topic, I want to give a huge shout out to all the people who've been joining in between. We got King Taichi, we got Baseball Furies, we got Sterling K Art, we've got Kory Gryffindor, we got Stakona. What's going on, y'all? We got the Big Bruv. How you doing? Welcome, 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 everybody. Hope you guys are doing well. If you guys do me a favor, make sure you hit that like button. Helps out the channel tremendously. We are currently on 59 likes. Can we get to 69 likes? Let's see. Let's see. It'll be very nice. We have a $5 super chat coming in from the homie Don the Otaku. Suicide Squad gameplay and traversal wise looks like Sunset Overdrive 2 I always wanted. It looks great and a superhero game for me. I mean, yeah, I saw bits and snippets of that footage and it looks cool, but to me, the traversal really wasn't the biggest problem with Suicide Squad Kill the Justice League. To me, the biggest problem was just like, how much of this game is going to be a Rocksteady story and how much of this game is like, oh, well, we were forced to do this kind of game because we wanted something for our studio to sell. You know what I'm saying? So it's still the live service aspects keep me a little oof about it, but we'll see. We'll see, man. I don't think them delaying the game is going to fundamentally change it because they would have to retool the entirety of the game. And that's like basically remaking the title to take all those elements out. So I think part of it was just to have a better showing and then get it out of the way of all the games that are supposed to come out. But Rocksteady, they need that game to be a hit. They need it to be a hit, man, because they have not released a full-fledged title since 2015. Guys, put into perspective here. The last full-fledged game Rocksteady made was in 2015. And you know, giving credit where credit's due, Arkham Knight still looks phenomenal to this day. Like, yeah, you know, I don't like the Batmobile, but that game still runs circles around. How does that game look better than Gotham Knights? Wow. That's crazy. That's so crazy. But, yeah, I'm hoping Suicide Squad Kill the Justice League is fun, and it's not just, you know the type of game. Yeah, I'm playing this just to grind. Am I having fun? I don't know. The jury is out on that. All right. So, with that topic out of the way, ladies and gentlemen, let's move into our second to last major topic for the night. Man, I know I said we were done talking about Star Wars stuff, but the segue from the previous topic into this one about how you got popular IP and the potentials that you have with popular IP being translated into video games. What more could you want? Well, you start to realize that a lot could go wrong, especially when you hand the keys to the wrong people. So you guys might recall, about a little over 2 years ago, in fact, we learned that a remake of one of the greatest, and I mean greatest RPGs and video games of all time, Star Wars Knights of the Old Republic. We found out that a full-fledged remake was in development exclusively for the PlayStation 5. And that just, dude, I know I don't talk about this much on the channel, but Star Wars Knights of the Old Republic, next to Mass Effect 2, is my all-time favorite BioWare game. I loved what they did with that title, and it was a title that I couldn't really appreciate what they did with it when I first played it, but then after, when I went back and I replayed it as an adult, I just learned to love that game even more. Like, just the storytelling, the writing. Oh my god, BioWare writing back in the day was just unmatched, dude. Like games from BioWare, you know, games like Legacy of Kain, Soul Reaver 2, just the writing of those titles, like that was one of the things that separated RPGs from the bulk, just the high quality level of writing that you got, and then the voice acting. And then when you have an IP like Star Wars and you're telling this story that is just so good, that is on par with any of the Star Wars content that you have seen. And mind you, this was back in the early 2000s. The story that they told in this game was insane. And KOTOR is one of the games that I don't care how many years pass, I will not spoil what happens in this. Because what happens in this game, dude, it is one of the... I can't... I don't want to say the exact word of what it is, but it is one of the most beautiful iterations of that particular thing. So damn good. And just the concept of that being remade top to bottom. I was blown away. I was blown away and I was excited. Unfortunately, we didn't really hear much about the game since. They announced it with a CG trailer, and that was it. We learned that it was in development with the studio Aspyr Media, and that was all we got. We didn't really hear much about it, but we knew that the game was in development, so we probably figured to ourselves, like, okay, you know, if they just announce it now with the CGI trailer, probably be out in, like, what, 2 years, maybe 3 years tops, depending, because, you know, these games take a while. But it wasn't long, you know, a little under a year later, where we found out that the game was going through development troubles, right? Aspyr Media, who really hadn't worked on a game of this level, a full-on remake. The only thing that they have done, for the most part, at least relevancy to Star Wars, had been just re-releasing older Star Wars for modern platforms, putting them on mobile phones. They were just basically a port studio, but not on the level of something like a Bluepoint Games, who Bluepoint, everybody remembers them because they came out with like the God of War collection, and that was done really well. So then they went and they did like the Shadow of the Colossus and Ico collection. And then from there, they went and they said, you know what? Let's remake a game. And they remade Shadow of the Colossus, and it was amazing. And they remade Demon Souls, and it was amazing. And now they're working on their own IP, apparently. That is the studio that, if you were talking about remaking something from the ground up, probably should have been somebody like a Bluepoint and not Aspyr Media. Because what we learned a year later was that the game was going through so much trouble. There was conflicting visions across the board, whether it was Aspyr Media or Lucasfilm Games or, PlayStation. Like, there was just a lot of he said, she said happening. And it basically got to the point where Embracer Group essentially took the development of the game and gave it to Saber Interactive, tried and true studio of helping out, being a support studio, then also just developing stuff, which seemed like, okay, all right, Saber Interactive is going to work on this. But again, you're taking a game from one studio and then you're bringing it to another studio to work on. That's going to push back the pipeline. Like, how far in development of this game, how far in development was this game? And then moving it to another studio who has to deal with a different tool set and just different goals and different expectations. Like, it just seemed like it was a mess. Is this something that you should have figured out like very early on in the development, and not like, I don't know, after you announce the game publicly and you just pound your chest about it to the public? It was just very strange. But of course, that happened last summer, and then we just expected, all right, this game is probably like 2026 at this point. Oh, brother. Well, we learned from courtesy of a Mr. Jeff Grubb on his podcast. Jeff Grubb had this to say. I just want to clear it up. The game is not being worked on right now. Just full stop. The game is not being worked on in any way at any studio. And again, this adds more fuel to the fire because recently the game itself had been scrubbed from social media. As it says here in the article, they removed all forms of mention of the game even existing. Embracer Group doesn't even want to talk about it. They have no updates for it. Their only comment is no comments because they know it'll be a headline. This thing is dead. This thing is dead in the water. And honestly, I'm disappointed. I really am. But at the same time, I am very glad that this thing, at least according to Jeff Grubb, because, he's got a really good track record, but, but just based off everything that's happened with this game, yeah, I'm inclined to believe the homie. What a colossal misfire on all fronts. I'm not just talking about from Embracer Group or Aspyr. I'm talking about PlayStation as well, because PlayStation had the marketing for this game. I assume they were partially funding this remake, because this is a big get. This is a big get for them, because this was a game that was originally exclusive to the Xbox. And then you're saying that we're getting a full-blown remake of that beloved Star Wars game, and it's going to be exclusive to our system? And then I want to know who is involved in vetting these projects at these studios. Like, did nobody just look at what they were working on all throughout, and then, like, you know how you have not check marks, like checkpoints, right? You have milestones. Shouldn't people figure this shit out way earlier in production than you are now? Especially for something like KOTOR, bro. Knights of the Old Republic. Like, this is a game that, this is a game that needs to be, like, full on the level of, like, one of the biggest releases of the year. Like, the same love and attention that we give to other titles, KOTOR needed to be like that. Not handed off to a studio like Aspire Media, who really hadn't worked on a game like this. And I don't know what they were cooking. I really don't know what they were cooking, but apparently everybody involved just said, nah, bruh. Like, nah, what the fuck is this? Like, maybe their idea of what a KOTOR remake was very different from what the other people expected. Like, my God, bro. Like, what a just a disaster of management across the board, dude. And it sucks, man. It really does, because the idea of them doing KOTOR in the modern day, like, obviously that battle system, it has not aged the greatest. Even if you replay KOTOR, I mean, I know they have, like, the remasters that are on the Switch and the systems like that. It just does not hold up. I mean, the rest of the game is phenomenal. It's so good, but the battle system, no. But the idea of a modern KOTOR, like, I always thought, and this is going to be a return to one of the super chats we got before from, I believe it was Julian Phoenix, who talked about Star Wars KOTOR and how he wanted Square Enix to handle the remake. I had always said, and you can go back and check my tweets about this, if they were to do a Star Wars KOTOR remake and they wanted to appeal to the best of both worlds at the time before I played Baldur's Gate 3, I thought that the best approach would be setting it up like Final Fantasy VII Remake, where, yeah, it's definitely more action-based. You know, it's more action-based, but you have the opportunity to slow things down with the combat, and you can set your commands, and you can make each of the characters you want, like, you know, depending on how many characters they include in that, you can have them perform different actions and have different roles. Like, you could do that, and ideally, I think it could work in that particular context. But KOTOR, in the sense of scale, by comparison to what they did with Final Fantasy VII Remake, at least that part, that small amount of hours, KOTOR is just much more vast by comparison to that aspect of FF7 Remake. So how that would have worked out, I don't know. But it would have been fantastic, and I would have loved that. I think it's a good way to get more people on board and invested with this interpretation, because it appeals to the best of both worlds. And just also, like, dude, going full out and just telling that story, oh, man, so good. But here recently, it's prompted a lot of people to say, like, listen, we don't want this game to die. We want this to go to another studio. Who would y'all pitch this game towards? Honest to God, bro, if Obsidian wasn't busy already working on their titles, they were my next go-to. Because I think that they could make a KOTOR remake, definitely in the more strategic sense. But if we're talking about a studio nowadays that's working, that could create something that it gets people invested, even if it's a genre that they're not into, Larian Studios, bro. What they did with Baldur's Gate 3 and how the masses have embraced that, oh my God, that's just right up KOTOR's alley, bro. Like, straight up. But then again, they've got their own thing going on right now, and just they would have to start from scratch, which means that's like an end of the generation type game. If, let's say, hypothetically speaking, if either of those studios, whether it was Obsidian or Larian Studios, and they worked on it and they gave it all of their love, it would be end of the generation, which honestly I wouldn't mind waiting for. And yeah, I mean, Obsidian, they have been in the Star Wars world before. They worked on KOTOR 2. But you know what the thing is about KOTOR 2? Obsidian, dude, what is it about Obsidian and just getting, like, sequels handed to them, and they have, like, a limited time frame to work on them, and they're still fucking good? Like the same thing that happened with KOTOR 2 happened with Fallout New Vegas. Both developed by Obsidian. It's just like, yo, dude. I just noticed that. But you know what? They perform great under pressure. So I think it would be dope as hell if either of those studios got it. Just honestly, any studio that has talent, number one, and genuinely wants to work on the game. But honestly, Microsoft has the opportunity to do the funniest fucking thing in the world. If we get to the situation where PlayStation just says, fuck it, we're not messing with this game, I swear to God, if we see Xbox just snap up the rights to the KOTOR remake again, and then just like, listen, we're doing this, but it's gonna come out this time. We're gonna get someone else to work on it. Oh my God, that would be incredible. That would be so fucking incredible, dude. I would just laugh so hard about that. But again, that's something that wouldn't happen for years to come. But yeah, I mean, that's just like my wish list if I were just throwing around names of some studios. Like, yeah, get this and that. And again, it's gotta be the people who want to work on the projects. It can't just be folks who, like, yeah, just here, hand them that shit, you know? KOTOR pressed around like a ball. Yeah, KOTOR is, they just, bro, it's, oh, man. Okay, hold on 1 second. So, breaking news, courtesy of Flame. He just sent this to my DMs. According to Jason Schreier, the KOTOR remake is apparently still being worked on for whatever worth that has. Supposedly. I mean, how is, like, but what does that even mean? Like, okay, so looking at this report right here, is it alive and will it ever come out are two very different questions. A third is, if it does ever come out, what will it actually look like? That said, I've talked to two people at Saber who both say they're still currently working on it, so I don't believe the comment that it isn't being worked on in any way right now is true. So apparently it's still being worked on, but like, I don't know, like the people who are working on it right now, could them working on it mean they're just deleting the files? Like, I don't fucking know. What the fuck? Like, we cannot have this much uncertainty about a game. Like, yeah. So listen, all I'll say is this. I'll believe it when I see it. Like I said, I'll believe it when I see it. And if they show up with this game in the next year, sure. But the way it's looking right now, I'm going to classify Star Wars Knights of the Old Republic remake as The Last Guardian. That's basically what it is right now. You know, you can tell me you're working on this game. You can tell me that you guys are having fun in the studio and, oh, it smells great in this kitchen. But unless I see some shit and I get a release date and I can press start on my controller and that thing loads and it doesn't crash, anyways, comment down below and let me know, you guys, what do you think about the Star Wars KOTOR remake, and who is your ideal studio to work on it? It could be any studio. It doesn't matter what they've got working on right now. It could be a studio that doesn't exist anymore. Just like, what would be your ideal dev team to work on the game? Comment down below and let me know. And all right, you guys, before we dive into the final topic for this evening, we're going to take a short intermission so your boy can go downstairs and get some agua, because the last topic is going to be a doozy, my friends. So sit back, relax, hang out for a bit while I go get some water and just take a breather, and we will be back to discuss the final topic. And if y'all could do me a favor while I am gone, we are currently at 63 likes. Let's see if we can get to that fabled 69 likes before we start the final topic. So I will see you guys momentarily. All right, we are back, you guys. Thank you so much for waiting. Test, test, test. What's going on, people? What's up, what's up, what's up? How y'all doing? How y'all doing? All right, y'all back. You guys can you can get off the hub now. You can get off the hub. Your boy has returned. He back. Yes, sir. That's right. I got back from the grocery store. Dumb quick, guys. Dumb quick, too. I told you I'd be back. He said, get those likes up, y'all. Yes, sir. Yes, sir, you guys. Hey, what's happening? What's happening? Did you bring the milk back? I absolutely did bring milk back. I did, bro. I did. And dare I say, it's not just regular milk. It's organic milk. So, you know, your father splurged on y'all. And I also brought this. For y'all, too. Dragon Ball Super Superhero on that crispy 4K, baby. That's a fact, bro. We don't really get a lot of 4K anime. So the fact that this actually exists is insane. I can't wait to watch this. I still haven't seen this movie, believe it or not. So this will definitely be something that I indulge in sooner rather than later. But yes, you guys, are you all ready for the final topic for the night? Oh, no, we did not talk about Scott Pilgrim yet. Kory Gryffindor, we did not. We'll save that for the little wrap up that we do later on. Yeah, Suzume is, I think it goes on Crunchyroll, like, what, on Thursday? Or it went on Crunchyroll last Thursday? Yeah. If you guys have not seen Chair Movie, it is available. It is available on Crunchyroll. It's a solid movie. I really enjoyed it. But all right. Now that we've gotten that out of the way, let's dive into the final topic, my friends. The final topic for the evening. Man, listen. Have you guys ever wanted to play The Last of Us, but you felt like the game looked dated, right? Well, we have a solution for that. It's called The Last of Us Remastered. But have you ever felt as if The Last of Us Remastered wasn't up to your liking? Well, we have a game for you. It's called The Last of Us Part 1. But did you ever want to play more of The Last of Us universe? Did you ever want to play a game and see what happened to the characters of Joel and Ellie that you've grown to love in the first title? That being maybe Last of Us, maybe Last of Us Remastered, maybe Last of Us Part 1. Well, sit back and relax, because might I introduce to you The Last of Us Part 2? But, and this is a big but, and I'm not just talking about the ones that don't lie. Did it ever dawn on you that a game from 2020 might be dated in the year 2023 going into 2024 in the year of our Lord Baby Yoda? Well, fear not, ladies and gentlemen, because Papa Neo, Santa Neo, is coming out here to bless y'all with some pretty juicy news. That being that all of your fears and concerns that a game like The Last of Us Part 2 might look graphically outdated in the year 2024, all those fears are going to be alleviated with the announcement of The Last of Us Part 2 Remastered. That is right, ladies and gentlemen. So launching on January 19th, 2024, we are getting a full-blown, built for the PS5 remaster of The Last of Us Part 2. Just let that sink in for a second, you guys. That the game that is playable right now on the PS5, it's already got a mini PS5 patch in the sense that, you know, you can run the game at 60 frames per second. The game that to this day still looks better than a lot of next-gen titles that are out. The game that to this day still has a lot of gameplay elements that a lot of next-gen titles cannot replicate. That game is coming back in the definitive way with The Last of Us Part 2 Remastered, available exclusively on the PlayStation 5 for the time being, asterisk, on January 19th, 2024. So we're just going to go ahead and talk about some of the improvements that we're getting with this one. So first things first, with The Last of Us Part 2 Remastered, the first thing that you're going to get is the ability to play it on the PS5. So you know how you have The Last of Us Part 2, and you can play it on your PS5. But does that version of the game have the PS5 logo on it? Does it have the white label on the box? No? Well, listen. All your fears and concerns are alleviated right here with The Last of Us Part 2 Remastered, right? So the remastered title, not only does it feature the PS5 logo on it, I need to stress this. I need to stress this. It has the logo on it. But it's going to come with alongside technological improvements, new modes, new behind-the-scene features. Oh, so it's great. We're getting YouTube videos in our games. That's awesome. That will deepen your understanding of Part 2's creation. But before that, let's take a look at this trailer, which we're not going to take a look at. But The Last of Us Part 2 Remastered has a brand new mode called No Return, which is a roguelike survival mode designed to let players prove their mettle in randomized encounters and experience The Last of Us Part 2's combat in a fresh experience. The mode includes a host of playable characters to choose from, some playable for the first time in The Last of Us franchise, which you may have spotted in our trailer. We'll put Jack and Daxter over this bitch? Aye, let's go. Who each come with their own traits to suit different playstyles. Players will chart their own course on each run, choosing between various stealth and combat encounters that will pit you against a range of enemies with unique twists that can add new, unexpected factors to any given encounter. Now, honestly, I know I'm being sarcastic, but this is pretty awesome. Like this right here, the best part about The Last of Us Part 2 is the gameplay. The gameplay of this shit is just yet to be topped. It is one of the best third-person shooter experiences, one of the best stealth experiences. It is legitimately awesome, and the attention to detail that Naughty Dog has put in this game, world-class developers in that respect. Maybe that explains all the crunch, unfortunately. But this whole mode right here, I am very excited to test out. Each run will offer a new chance to decide what rewards you get after each encounter, how to spec your character, all of that stuff. Daily run. We're excited to share more about this as we get closer to launch. So that's pretty cool. I'm not going front, just adding more modes in this. Did you need a full PS5 version for this? I don't know, but regardless, let's see what else they're offering us. For those who've already played The Last of Us Part 2, we know the included sections featuring a playable guitar were a favorite for many. Okay. So we've introduced a new guitar free play mode will let you strum the strings and across a host of unlockable instruments, use audio FX pedals to modulate your performance, and play as different characters in several in-game locations to customize the mood and feel of your set. So we're getting Guitar Hero Simulator 2K24. That's what they're telling me. Listen, I already played a game with a dude with a guitar. It was called The Artful Escape, and it's an amazing game. If you guys have not played The Artful Escape, go play it. It's available on damn near everything. It's so awesome. Shout out to that game for real. And for both new and returning players interested in learning more, we've designed Part 2 Remastered to offer a comprehensive dive behind the scenes of how our studio brought this game to life. Niggas putting it in a YouTube playlist? Okay. A new set of lost levels in Part 2 Remastered allow players a unique chance to check out some playable sequences previously cut from the games. These aren't fully finished levels, but rather early development slices that not only let you see new glimpses in Part 2's world, but also include commentary to give them richer context. So it's basically kind of like playing Astro's Playroom in the sense that you can explore the levels. They're not complete, so they're not like full-on playable in their final forms, but you can see what this was all about, the thought process behind it. So it's an interesting experience per se. I ain't going front. That's if you really, really care about the game to that point, yeah, go for it. But I'm okay, bro. I honestly, as much as I love Part 2, I don't need to see more levels from that game because I love Part 2. But that story was about 5 hours too long. That story, if you trimmed and cut it out and you gave me like a Redux edition, mwah, I would love it even more. But I don't need to see some cut levels. In fact, we should cut some levels. Yeah, remaster that, make it shorter. Yeah. We've also included newly recorded director's commentary across the campaign's cutscenes with director Neil Druckmann. I don't need to hear anything else from Neil. Narrative lead Haley Gross and actors Troy Baker. What is nigga gonna sell me on NFTs? All right. Ashley Johnson, Laura Bailey. They assembled to offer insight into the story and its characters that means so much to our team of fans. All right, you know, I mean, commentaries are cool. For movies. I don't need to see them for the game's cutscenes. Especially because, I don't know, it's different because when you watch a movie, you're experiencing the movie. And then when you have a commentary on it, you know that you're listening to these guys over the commentary. But commentary over the game's cutscenes, I don't know, it just don't sit right, bruh. Just don't sit right. It's weird to me. I'd rather just see you guys in the freaking like Google Hangouts talk about that stuff rather than speaking over the commentary. Just like tell me the scene, splicing some scenes, but I don't need to hear y'all commentating over that shit. Anyway, did I mention that it comes with a PS5 logo on the case? The Last of Us Part 2 Remastered will feature enhanced graphics, including native 4K output. Why did you put that asterisk there? In fidelity mode, 1440p upscale to 4K in performance mode, an unlocked frame rate option for TVs that support VRR, increased texture resolution, increased level of detail distances, improved shadow quality, animation sampling rate, and more. It all brings the world of Part 2 story to life in richer and smoother detail, from the snow-swept mountains of Jackson, Wyoming, to the rainy cityscapes of Seattle, Washington, and should make a first visit or a return trip to the complex journeys of Ellie and Abby all the more engrossing. Now, I'm not going front. Last of Us Part 2 is still one of the most beautiful games of all time. I want to see how much better this thing will look. And one of the coolest things that I love about Sony Studios is that they're like uniform across the board when it comes to these outputs for the consoles. Like you can play it in 4K with fidelity mode, you can get a 1440p performance mode, and then the unlocked frame rate with VRR. That's how I played Spider-Man 2. And in my honest opinion, playing Spider-Man 2 with in fidelity mode with the 40 FPS with VRR is just fucking beautiful, dude. Like, I didn't even think about playing in the regular fidelity or the performance when I played it in that, and it was butter, bro. So good. And, you know, I didn't say this on the stream, but I just got myself a new TV. I finally upgraded to the OLED game. We got the LG C3 on deck. I want to see how this game is going to look on there. So, yeah, let's go ahead and scroll down. Part 2 Remastered takes advantage of the PS5's powers and features in more ways as well, including improved load times. Part 2 Remastered incorporates DualSense support feedback and adaptive triggers to better immerse yourself at every moment of combat and exploration. Okay, all right, so if people would just want to put the DualSense on their dick, I guess. And that's just how it is anytime they say about the DualSense. I love the DualSense. It's an amazing controller, but the way they be hyping up the adaptive triggers and come on now. Accessibility options, that's great. Unlockable speedrun mode, that's coming to The Last of Us Part 2. Okay. Photo mode that you can't share on. Well, that's not PlayStation's fault, though. That's definitely more on Elon Musk. But yeah, the photo mode that you gotta send the screenshots to your phone and then share them that way. Speaking of photo mode, we made some additions for the players. You can get all that stuff. So that's cool. So the homie Shinobi can stay in photo mode for another 14 hours. Let's see. So we're bringing this to PS5. We're offering fans new level of appreciation. We're coming out with another special edition. Are you guys going to box this correctly this time? Because shout out to the homie Jack Move Johnny. Y'all destroyed his special edition. You didn't even offer that man a replacement. Jesus. Comes with a steelbook case, 4 enamel pins, patches, trading cards, holographic cards. We Yu-Gi-Oh up in this bitch. And the best part of all, if you own The Last of Us Part 2 on PlayStation 4, you'll be able to upgrade to the digital version for $10 at launch. That better stay free. Or I'm sorry, that better stay $10. Don't tell me it's like you better buy it now. That type of shit. We'll see. You'll be able to import your saves from the original to Part 2 Remastered. So that is the important part about all of this. Because honestly, all that stuff, it sounds good. But if this thing wasn't an upgrade to the PS4 version, you fucked it. You fucked it. It's not even worth it. But yeah, so this one was 4K, requires compatible TV or display. Internet connection required to complete daily run. Blah, blah, blah. Upgrades for the disc version of the PS4 and Last of Us are only available if you have a PS5 console with a disc drive. Self-explanatory, but you do have to PBS people nowadays because they'll just be like, well, I have the digital version, so why can't I upgrade the disc? Owners of the PS4 disc must insert them into the PS5 every time they want to download or play the PS5 version. So it's basically similar to if you want to get like the next-gen version of the PS5 game, you have to have the PS4 disc in there, basically to act as an unlock key. But yeah, then they have all these screenshots right here, which whatever. But yeah, Last of Us Part 2 coming out on the PS5. Now, let me just get this out of the way right now, right? I think that for $10, what they're asking for in terms of the new modes, in terms of all the enhancements, all that stuff, that's fine. I don't have an issue with it. They've clearly put effort into this. It's not a big deal. And if you don't care about all this stuff, you could just play the regular Last of Us Part 2 on your PS5. It's going to look beautiful. But for somebody who wants to get access to these modes and some of the other stuff, cool. Like, I definitely want to see, like, that new mode they have, that roguelike mode, I want to see what that's all about. That seems like it's a lot of fun because I love The Last of Us Part 2's gameplay. And if you're telling me that you're going to add on more to it with all these other things, that is great. And you're not giving me factions anytime soon, so there's that. So I think that this is a non-issue. Is it weird that they're remastering a game that literally is only 3 years old and it won't even be 4 years old by the time this comes out? Absolutely. But looking at it from PlayStation's POV, they want the PS5 to be everybody's first console. If you are not a gamer, they want the PS5 to be the place where you can access all of their IPs. Every single one of their major titles that they're focusing on, which is why they have re-released Spider-Man 2018. They remastered that 2 years later. Why? So they can have a native PS5 version. It's why there's this rumored Horizon Zero Dawn remaster in the works. Why? So they can have a native PS5 version. It's why The Last of Us Part 1 exists. Why? So they can have a native PS5 version that they can sell in stores and on the storefronts. Basically, they're trying to do this cross-media brand synergy thing. Because The Last of Us TV show is a big hit, they have the games available on PS5. Boom. Because the Spider-Man movies are a big hit, you have all the Spider-Man games on PS5. Boom. One place, one download. And because they're working on a Horizon TV series, they want to have the games on there. They did a Twisted Metal TV series. They're working on a Twisted Metal game. It hasn't been announced yet, but we know it's coming. So that's what they're doing here. From a business point of view, sure, have at it, Sony. But man, I will say this. As someone who will go to bat and defend The Last of Us Part 2, man, it is just sad that this is all we've gotten from Naughty Dog over the past couple of years. I understand that it takes a while for these games to come out, especially when you have games that are on the level of a Grand Theft Auto 5, a Red Dead Redemption 2, a Last of Us Part 2. I understand these things take time to cook. But bro, it's just so disappointing that Naughty Dog, all they've put out in the past couple of years has been a remake of one of their past games that wasn't even 10 years old. And now two remasters of the games they had that weren't even more than a couple years old. Like they did the Uncharted Legacy of Thieves collection on PS5. That was the most bare bones remaster possible. Like period, point blank. All they did was up the resolution of that thing, and that was essentially it, because the games already looked great. But then they put that shit out for $50. Like what? And now they're doing this with Last of Us Remastered, which I think this one definitely has a lot more work put into it compared to that Uncharted Legacy of Thieves collection. But still, man, it's kind of disappointing. It's like this combined with the fact that Factions is not coming out anytime soon. And then knowing Naughty Dog and how they work on their games, their new IP is probably not coming out until like what, halfway into the generation, if we're lucky. It's just sad, bro. It's just sad. Like this is all it is, man. And it's less of a commentary on Naughty Dog and more a commentary on the industry as a whole, I guess, where it's like we get one game a generation from some of these studios, and sure, these games can be great, but man, it's like that's it. That's all we're getting. Like, I know this is controversial to say, but I wouldn't mind if I get games that are a little less quality, but you could put out maybe 2 or 3 over the generation versus one game and then that's it. And you better hope and pray that that game is fire, because if it's not, you're shit out of luck, bro. You're fucked. You know? That's what makes me sad about the whole scenario. But now we're getting to a point where like they've put out this game, they have no more other games that they can remaster. What are they going to do? Remaster the Uncharted remaster on the PS4? Are they going to bring the Nathan Drake collection to the PS5 and remaster that shit? Oh my god, a remaster of a PS4 remaster of PS3 games. That'd be fucking crazy. But I've seen a lot of people say, well, I've seen a lot of things like, well, why doesn't Naughty Dog go back and do some of their other IPs like Jak and Daxter? Why don't they do that? Well, it's kind of similar to a lot of the same reasons why Rare is not the same studio that they used to be back when they worked on Nintendo stuff. A lot of the people that worked on Jak and Daxter, sure, some of them are still there, but a lot of them have moved on because Naughty Dog is not equipped to work on those kind of games. The lifeblood and the DNA of Naughty Dog had been fundamentally changed when they dropped the first Uncharted game, and even more so emboldened when The Last of Us came out. These are the type of games that they make. And for better or for worse, for some people, it is what it is. Just like Rare, like people keep saying, why doesn't Rare work on Banjo-Kazooie? The talent that gave us games like GoldenEye and Banjo-Kazooie and all the games that Rare did back in their heyday when they were good is not the Rare that's working on Sea of Thieves. Like, sure, Sea of Thieves is working out for them after so many years, but it's a different studio, and you have to approach things as such. Of course, you have studios like Insomniac, where a lot of the same people that worked on the original Ratchet & Clank and all those games are still there, and they still like working on Ratchet & Clank. That's awesome, but that's not every studio, unfortunately. So it is what it is, and when you compare the quality of a game like The Last of Us Part 2 to some of the older games from back in the day, sure, they don't compare. But I want to see more diversity from Naughty Dog than just these two franchises, dude. And I get it. Both of these franchises, they really hit their peak recently, you know? Like, in the grand scheme of things, like, yeah, Uncharted was popular with Uncharted 2, but, man, it didn't really make waves with the masses, like regular folk, until Uncharted 4. And in that point, the series had been wrapped up. That was it. So now with The Last of Us, they got a big hit the first time around. The second game was still a big hit. And then the TV show is huge, so of course they're going to continue doing The Last of Us Part 3. And I'm looking forward to The Last of Us Part 3 when that comes out. But the way it's looking now, they're talking about the story. They're working on the story for that game. That's not coming out to the end of the generation. It's probably going to be a cross-gen at this rate, which is so crazy to think about because we're finally moving away from cross-generation this year, leading into the next year. And then we have to think about cross-gen happening in like 2028, which really isn't that far away when you guys think about it. Like, we're 3 years into the generation now, and it still feels like we're in its infancy, obviously because of COVID and everything. But the fact that like we're going to start hearing genuine PS6 and Xbox Series Z rumors within like the next year or so is just asinine for me. And by that point, we're probably still not going to have a Naughty Dog game that's out. So sad. So sad. But yeah, you know, it is what it is, man. I'm not going to lose sleep over it. I'm not angry about it. I'm not annoyed about it. You just vote with your wallets. If you want to support this, by all means, go ahead and cop it. I'm going to cop it because I think that the upgrade for what I want to get out of it is cool. And I all I could do is hope that some of the other teams that they have there, like let's say, for example, the team that was working on The Last of Us Part 1, they're maybe working on their own project, and not every single person in Naughty Dog is just working on The Last of Us Part 3. I hope they have the other IPs that we heard rumors about, and they're cooking. I want to see, man. I want to see more from Naughty Dog than just the one or two franchises. Like, do a new IP. Do something, man. But we'll see. We'll see what happens in the future. Anyway, comment down below and let me know, you guys. What do you think about all of this? Last of Us Part 2 remastered. What are your thoughts? Let me know. And with that out of the way, ladies and gentlemen, those are all the main topics wanted to discuss tonight. A little under 2 hours, which is great. We're making excellent time. So we're going to open it up for the next, I want to say 15 minutes or so, 15, 20 minutes for some open Q&A, or if you guys just want to ask me questions and you want to super chat those questions, feel free to do that. And we're just going to hang out for a bit. So we do have a $4.99 super chat that came in during the discussion from J-Law. If you think about it, the least they could do is give this update for free. I mean, that's the thing, man. The way I look at it, they're providing content. If it was just the graphical updates that they were charging for, that's some bullshit. But adding in a new mode and some of the other things, to me, $10 is not, it's not the worst thing in the world. Like that for $10, a new mode and like that, yeah, I'll take that. I'll take that. But yeah, what I will say is that, again, it goes back to the overall handling of smart delivery next gen upgrades. Microsoft has been a hell of a lot better this generation by comparison to PlayStation. Because there were definitely situations before where PlayStation was just charging for $10 upgrades where they really didn't need to. Like, if you have a cross-generation title, don't charge for a next-gen update. That's stupid. Because you're just flipping a switch. It's just a different version. That's all it is, man. But the reason why not saying that it's justified, but why they did it is because they were selling the games for $70, and they didn't want people to be like, oh, just buy the PS4 version for $60 and then just upgrade for free. It's stupid, but again, it's just what is happening this generation, unfortunately. That's how they justify keeping it fair across the board for the people who bought the PS5 version so they don't feel skimped out. I'm not saying I agree with it. It is stupid. But yeah, that's unfortunately what it is. But shout out to all the people who've been joining the stream recently. Shout out to y'all. Let's see, we got some people joining. We got Marcus Doyle, Terrell for real. What's up? We've got who else is in here? I saw Johnny P. We got Video Game Lover. What's going on, you guys? So yeah, feel free to ask some questions, y'all. I'm gonna read through the chat. Did you see how many people they needed for Last of Us Part 2? It was all hands on deck. I know they had I think 2,400 contractors or something crazy. And I know every single game uses contractors, but they had a lot of folk in addition to everybody at Naughty Dog working on that one game. And I mean, it shows, but still, I think part of that was probably due to crunch as well. And they did have to outsource a lot of stuff too. Which could be part of the reason why going forward, it might take a little longer to get some of these Naughty Dog games because there was so much scrutiny and crunch regarding Part 2's development cycle that they're probably just going to pace themselves better and they know how to scope the game properly. All right. Take care, Maddie. Have a good one, bro. Neo, have you seen the announcement video of the next Karate Kid movie starring Ralph Macchio and Jackie Chan? Yeah, I actually saw that right before the stream. So there's apparently a new Karate Kid movie coming out, and that's interesting to me because I would have thought that the Karate Kid movies were done because Cobra Kai is doing so well. But I think because Cobra Kai is doing so well in the TV space that they're like, fuck it, let's just do another Karate Kid movie. I don't think they really announced too much detail surrounding it. I don't know if it's going to just be a new Karate Kid movie or it's going to be something existing in the Karate Kid cinematic universe. That would be crazy. But I mean, that can be like the Karate Kid No Way Home. They'll have Jackie Chan and they'll have Ralph Macchio. I didn't even know that those movies were even connected like that. I don't remember that. Or maybe they're just going to say, fuck it, like we'll retroactively make them connected. But yeah, they're doing a new Karate Kid movie. They're searching for the next actor. So yeah, it seems like we're going to be getting new Karate Kid movies, bro. What's your favorite PS2 and PS3 game? So my favorite PS2 game, I mean, honestly, it's hard. It's like picking a child, but my favorite PlayStation 2 game, you guys already know, is Kingdom Hearts 2. I love that game to death. Favorite PS3 game, it's tough because there's a lot of good PS3 games, but there's nothing that really like, I mean, it's kind of hard because at the same point, a lot of the best PS3 games are also multiplats too. So my favorite PS3 game could potentially be my favorite 360 game. Because I mean, it's tough. Like Mass Effect 2 is a surefire win because that's on PS3, but that's also on 360. So it's like, I could say Mass Effect 2. Technically, could you count Persona 5 because that did release on the PS3, even though I played it on the PS4, but it is a PS3 game. Neo, you inspired me to get an LG C3. Yes, sir. Welcome to the OLED Nation, Pap. Welcome to the OLED Nation. Oh, shit. We're at 68 likes, you guys. Can we get to 69? Exercise question. Is there a certain post-workout exercise you do for recovery so you ain't crazy sore? Try yin yoga if you don't have anything. Game changer for real. So I don't really do any post-workout exercises outside of like cooling down. So I'll go on the treadmill for a bit. I'll just cool down after my session. I don't just immediately leave the gym unless I'm running late. But I do a lot of mobility work before my workout, and I do a lot of mobility work on my off days. So before, like I spend the first like 15, 20 minutes when I'm in the gym warming up, obviously, like, you know, pull-ups, push-ups, but I do a lot of core mobility stuff. I do a lot of dynamic stretching. A lot of stuff like stretching my hips out, stretching my calves, everything, dude, because you like it's just one of those things where you don't just want to go to the gym and lift weights. You want to be a really like mobile individual, and all that stuff strengthens your body, the stability stuff. And yoga is insanely underrated. Like I don't understand why people be talking shit about folks that do yoga. That takes a lot of strength, and it's really good for your body too. And then the breathing and the bracing, all of that stuff is beneficial, and it translates into lifting. You know, having a really strong core, you know, that stuff is great when you're squatting and deadlifting under a heavy load. So yeah, I do a lot of mobility work beforehand, a lot of band work too. So I have like resistance bands, and I do like band pull aparts. I'll do a lot of like warm ups with a band, just to get like the body really, really like warm. So a lot of stuff for my shoulders, a lot of face pulls, a lot of rows with bands. So yeah, that's something I really love doing. Will we get another Superman movie? Yes, we're actually going to get a Superman movie in a little under 2 years from James Gunn. It's actually going to happen because James Gunn's working on it. What do you think about the Yu Hakusho live action teaser? Listen, the less said about that, the better. That's all I can say. Hey Neo, do you think this game generation should last longer? Personally, I think the PlayStation 6 should come out in 2030. Honestly, I mean, technology can't stop just because of what's happening in the real world, if that makes sense. Because we're going to get to a point where we are going to need new consoles. I do think this generation is going to go a little longer. I think it's going to be 8 years instead of 7. Before, consoles used to be 4 and 5, and then with the PS3, it became 7 years. I think this one is going to be 8 years. I think the PS5 and the Series Z or whatever are going to come out in 2028 versus 2027. I think that'll give them enough time to do other stuff, and also give us time to get the most out of these systems, because we really haven't seen a lot of current gen only experiences that really tax the hardware. I mean, we've gotten some good stuff, like A Plague Tale Requiem is pretty cool, but I mean, most of the stuff that we've seen is just, you know, it's like we don't have that wow moment yet. We got some good moments, but nothing that's just like, God damn, bro. And I think that's why we need studios like Rockstar, Naughty Dog. I want to see what Ninja Theory does. We need those studios to work on stuff. Yeah, but definitely 2028, I would think. Do you ever think do you think they'll do remakes for Persona 1, 2, and 4? I'm super pumped for Reload. Honestly, I would love for them to do Persona 2. I would take the remake team of 3 and just have them do Persona 2 after that. But fundamentally, I think Persona 2's remake project, it's got to be on like the level of a Persona 6, because 2 is so old that they have to do so much. It's fundamentally creating a brand new game, and you have to do so much with that. I would love a remake of 2. But I think Atlas, they're gonna just focus all their efforts on 6 going forward, at least with this modern Persona sense from 3 to 5. I don't think they'll go back to 2. I would love it, dude, but I don't know. We'll see. I mean, stranger things have happened. You never know. $4.99 coming in from Corey Gryffindor with his 10th super chat on a live stream. Appreciate you, my brother. Oh, so I finished the Kaito files. He's talking about Lost Judgment. And guess what? Yang Ye voices one of the central characters, and he sounds good. But as Kiryu, what the fuck? You see, that's what we brought up in the stream last week, Corey. Like, Yang Ye has done voices before, and he's sounded fine. He sounded okay. And that's the thing about acting. You have to know your range and your roles. Like, he shouldn't have been cast as Kiryu. Period, point blank. He could have been a supporting character in the world. Sure, but the Dragon of Dojima, he is not. And that's the thing that people have to realize. Like, just because you're an actor doesn't mean you're fit for every single role. That's fine. That's why we have multiple different actors. Don't you dare put that into the universe, Black Dragon. Don't you dare do that. If they call it the Series Z, I'm a riot. Honestly, I would not be surprised if they just call it Xbox. Just call it Xbox. Yeah, Persona 2's remake would definitely be more of a reimagining than anything. There's going to be certain things they can't do nowadays, unfortunately. What's your favorite movie of the year so far? That's tough. I've seen a lot of movies this year. Shit, I mean, My obvious go-to answer is Oppenheimer. I love that movie to death. I can't wait to rewatch it. I still think about that movie. Oppenheimer's great. I really enjoyed Guardians of the Galaxy Volume 3. Past Lives. I don't know if you guys have seen this movie. It didn't really get a huge wide release, but Past Lives was a really, really good movie. John Wick Chapter 4 I really enjoyed. And there's a lot of smaller movies that I have not seen yet that I really want to see. Like, I still haven't seen Martin Scorsese's new movie just because that movie's so long and it's hard to find time. Because it's one thing if I have the movie on Blu-ray, I can watch a little bit of it, and then if I have to go run an errand or if I have work, I can come back and finish later. But like, that's a 3. It's funny because Oppenheimer was a 3-hour movie. I had no problem rewatching that multiple times. But this is just like, 3.5 hours plus previews and everything. It's just that extra 30 minutes makes a difference for plotting out your day. And there's limited screen times because of how long it is versus Oppenheimer, where since it was so popular, they always had screen times. So you could find a showing. Quit dodging and talk about Scott Pilgrim. Okay, so, oh man, will you guys stop fan casting Yang Ye as Persona characters? Please don't do that. Do not do that. No, don't you dare do that. Listen, if that man's a protagonist in Persona 6, man, I'm playing that shit in Japanese. I'm off of principle, bro. Off of principle. Neo said he can't sit still. I did not say that, Jay Ransom. I just said that if it's like a 3.5-hour movie, planning it around your days, especially when it's like you have limited time off to watch that movie, it's tough. Because with Oppenheimer, there was more screen times and showings for that where I could find time. But when this shit is like 3.5 hours, there's less time. So it's like, it makes it difficult. Man, stop it. I know what you're trying to do. But I know it's a really good movie. Everyone says that. You should be playing. No, man, listen, no, the Persona dubs are really good. Stop this. He's hardly going to speak anyway if he's a protagonist. No, listen, he's going to find a way. He's going to find a way to get dialogue. That'd be the first Persona game where the main character speaks full sentences. Full text boxes. That's what I'm saying. They're gonna change it for him. Red Dead 1 PC port. Well, listen, this is what you can do. What you can do, Baseball Furies, is you can buy Red Dead Redemption 1 on the consoles. And what you can do is you could get your console, hook it up to a capture card, and then hook it up to your PC so you can play it on a PC. It's not native, but you're playing it on a PC. There you go. Man said Young out when he does a finisher. Y'all are toxic. Y'all are so toxic. Anyway, what was I saying? Okay, yeah, so Scott Pilgrim takes off. Listen, I'm not going to speak too much on this because a lot of y'all have not seen it yet. A lot of y'all haven't seen it. I'm not dodging no questions, Kory. Will you relax? I'm not dodging no questions, but Scott Pilgrim takes off. I'm going to speak on this more next week. Next week, I'm going to go in. Next week, I'm about to go in. I watched about half of the show. As you guys know, I was very much so looking forward to this. So much to the point where I did a media blackout. I saw the first trailer. I was like, yep, that's all I need, bro. Animated Scott Pilgrim done in the style of the manga. The original movie cast returning. That's what the world needs, man. And then I watched the show and I'm like, all right, this is what I'm waiting for, man. And I'm watching it. And I don't want to spoil much because I do want you guys to check it out and form your own opinion. But, okay, good night, Zach. But they do some things in this show that I was not expecting. And I'm just not a fan of when people do things that I'm not expecting. When you tell me you're going to do something and you show me you're going to do something and then you do something completely different. It makes me feel some type of way. So I'm gonna wait for that. Like I said, it's not terrible. It is not terrible. I'm not sitting here saying it's ass. It's not ass. It's just different. And if they're upfront about it being different, I'd be like, you know what? Fine. But next week we will speak about it because I'll be done with it. Don says, bro, please patch me in next week. I have a 20-minute rant for you. You know what? We might do that for an Ask Neo stream. Since we're doing this as the news show, we might start doing call-in stuff on Ask Neo to fill the time. Holy shit, what do you guys think about that? We could start doing that. Like randomly we'll get like Don Otaku on to talk about something, and we get Flame to talk about something. Like, I think it'd be fun. That could be interesting. Is there a way to get into the series? I've never had a chance to see any of the older stuff. Yeah. Wait, are you talking about Scott Pilgrim? If that's the case, the comic is available, and they have nice hardcover color versions of the comic, so that's really cool. So you can read all of that. That's the original vision. The Scott Pilgrim movie is pretty cool. That's available on 4K. Might watch that tonight. Yeah. Yo, Don Otaku's ready to go off, man. I feel like I'm gonna let that man on the mic, and he's just gonna be screaming about this. I can't wait. The Warframe and Octopath Variety Hour starring Flame, yeah. If I ever finish Octopath Traveler 2, I'm gonna get Flame on the podcast, and we gonna chop it up. Yeah. Go for the comic. And watch the movie. The movie's cool. But yeah, I enjoyed it as its own thing, but from what I was expecting, what they pitched me, I'm just like, you guys bamboozled me. You bamboozled me. How could you do this to me specifically? All right, you guys, I'm looking at the clock, and it is about to hit 9:15 p.m., which means it is time for us to wrap up the show, ladies and gentlemen. Oh my God, 2 hours gone by very, very fast, but that's what happens when we add structure to the routine. Look at that, you guys. So I want to thank you all so much for coming out to the stream. Whether you are watching this live or whether you're watching this on the playback, I appreciate the support. If you're watching this on the playback or you are just joining us right now, timestamps will be added and included within the next hour. So fret tonight if you want to go back and watch any particular topics, they will be available. And again, I want to thank everybody for coming through. All the people who've been super chatting, all the regular viewers, all the mods. Thank you guys so much for what you do. We will be back next Tuesday evening for another installment of good listening. Before you guys go, if you could do me a favor, make sure you hit the like button. It will help out the channel tremendously. And as we progress into future episodes and installments of this show, feel free to offer any feedback, any critiques, maybe some additions and things that we should be doing to help this flourish and prosper about the future, throughout the future. And I'm thinking of, and this is something that's tentative, but I'm thinking of doing sort of like a mailbag sort of discussion video, basically like a precursor to this podcast that we do on Tuesdays. I'm thinking of taking like a really good question somebody asks. Like, let's say, for example, if you're a YouTube member or a Patreon member, you send in a particular topic and we discuss that on the podcast. I think that would be a really interesting idea, especially as a good way for folks who are supporting the channel via the memberships. Give them an opportunity to like have a particular topic answered on air. And it could be something that's unrelated to the news we discuss. So like, let's say, for example, if it's something that I can speak about, I will definitely talk about it. But it has to be something that I have some insight on. It can't just be like a random thing like, well, what do you think about Fudo Fix Dine and Dash getting a HD remaster? I was like, you know what? If you like it, I love it. I love that shit for you. But yeah, what do you guys think about that? Like adding in more incentives for some of the members by having like particular topics that we discuss before the stream, like member topics, things like that, some cool things. And then when we aren't doing this stream, we'll still probably have the Ask Neos, and then we'll open up the Ask Neos and we'll diversify that with call-in shows where we can have people come on and we can talk about some stuff, maybe have some group discussions, seeing how raunchy and rowdy those go. But yeah, definitely feel free to let me know down below, especially about the whole membership questions and submitting those as topics. Maybe even making those potential videos that we do on a weekly basis. Like if it's a good enough topic, we can just talk about it. So yeah, what would you guys prefer? If we have like a submission for members for questions on the show, or we can make those into its own separate video. Like, what do you guys think? Anyway, just comment down below and let me know. Before we go, though, we do have a $10 super chat coming in from Don Otaku. Thank you so much for that, dude. I will say that I went through the 5 stages of grief in the first 2 episodes. He's talking about Scott Pilgrim. Episode 3, I was actually like, they might be cooking. Then every episode afterwards, the writing of the character, ass, damn. And it's not the good kind of ass. Because, you know, this man, Don Otaku, he liked the ass. He liked the cartoon ass. Like, look at the stuff that he be playing on Steam. So for him, bro, that's something else. But I appreciate you, Don. Thank you. Flame is saying, let's see, I want to see your reactions to the random questions and stuff. So you know what, maybe we could make the mailbag be like something we do on a weekly basis just for the live reactions purposes. But like I said, y'all just let me know. And before we go, you guys, happy Thanksgiving to everyone over here in the United States. If y'all are celebrating it, happy Thanksgiving to y'all and your loved ones. Eat a lot of good food this weekend. Drink a lot of good drinky drink. Just relax. Enjoy yourself. If you are working this weekend like I am, stay strong. Stay powerful. Do what you got to do, you guys. Stay black. Stay bigly black. Speaking of black, I have never been prouder as a black person to see the blacks represented on this crispy OLED screen behind me. Anyways, from me to you for now, ladies and gentlemen, my name is NGS signing out. And like always, I will catch you guys later. Peace out, y'all. Have a good one. Wait a second. Hold on. Listen, I know it's not as Neo, but we gotta end the stream the right way. Y'all know this. Y'all thought I could forget? Y'all thought I forgot? No, man. Call your grandma back into this chat. In fact, if she a freak, put her on the phone. Anyways, ladies and gentlemen, we're gonna have ourselves something that has become accustomed to these live streams, not just Ask Neo. We're going to have ourselves a hydration check. It's my way of making sure that not only do I stay hydrated, but you guys stay hydrated as well. Today's H2O beverage of choice is Polar Premium Seltzer. This is the strawberry watermelon flavor. Polar is not my favorite brand, but it was on sale, and your boy Neo does like a deal. I'm a seltzer connoisseur. I like trying out the different brands. So far, Schweppes and Vintage is top tier. Polar's okay. But yeah, on the count of 3, you guys, we're going to have ourselves some hydration. So 1, 2, 3, hydration. Remember, it's seltzer, so you do not want to chug the TV static. It is not the most comfortable thing in the world to be dealing with. But yeah, you guys, enjoy the rest of your mornings, your evenings, your afternoons, whatever time zone you're in. Eat a lot of great food, have a lot of great sex, get a lot of gaming and entertainment in. And for me to you for now, my name is NJ. Why does Mav keep joining right when we're going to end the stream? Mav, this is like the 3rd time this has happened. Oh, no. Why does this always happen? Mav thinks I got something against him now. Like, he just be joining the stream like, why do I do this when this man ends it? Like, Mav is like Buzz Killington. Mav just comes in and everyone's like, all right, goodbye. Nah, but shout out to the homie Mav. If you guys haven't already, go check out Mav over on Fun Speculation. Him, Kaylin, the homie Pong Soul, running 8 podcasts per week, and they are all killing it, and they are all crushing it. Shout out to the homie Mav. Damn, he just joined late again. I'm telling you, this just always happens. Nah, man, but yo, shout out to the homie. But yo, on some real shit. Goodbye for the 3rd time tonight, you guys. Just in time for a shout out. Yes, that's how we do it, bro. That is exactly how we do it. But y'all enjoy the rest of your mornings, your evenings, your afternoons. Eat a lot of great food, have a lot of great sex, and enjoy whatever the fuck it is you enjoy. My name is I've done this 3 times. I can't even. Catch you guys later. Peace.